As a cinema, it's frustrating when your success is decided by things you can't control. Hollywood hits come and go. What stays the same are the amazing experiences you offer your customers. Whether it's an engaging and successful membership program, seamless seat upgrades, next level food and drink, or extras like arcade games and bowling. But to do this well, you need a POS system that can keep up. Tapos has been developing cinema software for over 25 years. They know what it takes to run a successful movie theater, and they've created a solution that can match your boldest ambitions. Learn more at taposapp.com.
But also knowing the PVOD date is helpful. Because if you're in the final week and then next week it's on PVOD and I got to do a 2 or 3 week commitment, that's hard for me. And what we saw, I think, with Anyone But You, the success, they didn't go to PVOD forever. And look, a movie opened to $9 million, did $90 million all in. That's a 10-time multiple. That's unheard of. And I think they saw it, they nurtured it, they waited, and they didn't put it on PVOD for a while. So if a movie like that you think needs time to grow, give it the time.
This is the Box Office Podcast in the final episode of our daily CinemaCon edition brought to you by Tapos. In today's episode, we're going to be going over the theatrical slate presentations from Fathom Events, from Paramount, and from Disney to close out the show here in Las Vegas. It's been a very busy week. And then closing out this episode, we're actually going to give you guys a really exclusive gift, a recording of the panel session from Monday here in Las Vegas on mid-budget films. That includes insights from B&B Theatres Brock Bagby, from Showcase Cinemas Rebecca Stein. Then we've also got on the distribution side Elissa Federoff from Neon, and our good friend here in the industry, Elissa Bunnell from Focus Features. Some great insights in that panel to close out a great week here in Las Vegas. But now we got to go right into the content because we have a lot of movies to go through. And that's good. It's good that there's a lot of movies to talk about. We have two special guests here. To my left, I've got Serena Gill from Everyman Cinemas. You are the head of film. Do I still have your title right? Did you get promotion?
I did actually.
Oh no, and I didn't know that.
This feels like it was staged, but this wasn't staged.
It wasn't staged. Okay, breaking news.
Film.
Director of film. That's great.
That's much cooler.
Yeah.
That's really cool. To our listeners in the US, how would you describe the positioning of Everyman Cinemas in the UK?
I have to come up with a different way of doing it because I think we get described as a boutique cinema.
Okay.
And today somebody was like, I hate the name boutique cinema. But I didn't say anything. I was like, okay, I'm not going to say what we are.
All right, so it's not a boutique cinema. That's not how we're marketing it.
A premium offering, let's say. Right. We have 45 cinemas across the UK. A lot smaller than I think the majority of cinemas over here. We generally average about 3 or 4 screens per cinema. So
okay.
Quite intimate venues.
Really cool venues. I think really upgraded. Luxury is the right word there. What's your programming like at Everyman?
Diverse, I would
All
like
right,
to say.
good.
Yeah,
so it's not just blockbusters, right? A little bit of...
No, we're quite... I feel like we're quite lucky in that we don't just play well with blockbusters or art house. We can kind of dip in and out of both. So yeah, we play pretty much all of it.
A little bit of everything. And to my right, I've got Albert Lawrence from Amazon Live here. Albert, welcome. I know you've been listening to our show. I ran into you here for the first time at CinemaCon, and we just decided to bring you on, man. You're covering here the consumer side of things, what movie fans are excited to hear about. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Amazon Live.
For sure, yeah, I love CinemaCon because it's such a magical place where you can meet your heroes right here, right? So yeah, I work with Amazon Live. It's a live streaming platform, and yes, it is on Amazon, which a lot of people usually think about products when it comes to that. But Amazon's also so interested in just like cultivating fan bases and having communication with folks that just are enthusiastic about anything. And so that's me. Like, I love talking with people about items, about different products, themes and things that I'm not even super duper familiar with. But if you have a passion for it,
it's interesting.
Then it's interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Absolutely. And so even here at CinemaCon during lunches, and I know we'll be talking about just the experience of being here, I've met so many folks who've led completely different lives than I have. And I just feel like sitting down, picking up a glass of water and just like listening There's so much great stuff to listen to here.
Yeah, it is so like we get interest like popcorn buckets, popcorn tubs are.
There's been a lot of
Like,
popcorn tub
yeah.
conversation this week, more than usual.
Actually, yeah, we did get a popcorn tub mentioned in the Disney
We'll
presentation.
get into that in a little bit. That is Rebecca Pauley, our deputy editor at Box Office Pro, and Chad Kenrick, our staff writer here at Box Office. Chad, this was your second CinemaCon. How's year 2 like?
A lot better than year 1 in terms of I didn't get COVID this time.
Yes, that happened. That will happen sometimes. I got my last Cine Europe. Can I share this?
You can.
Okay, on Sunday, like the day I arrived to Barcelona, at Cine Europe 2022, I went for drinks with Serena and her entire team at Everyman Cinemas. And I was chock full of COVID. Chock full of COVID. I mean, there was COVID coming out of every pore. How long did you last? Because I lasted like a day and a half.
So I got through the whole conference, and then I had a lovely weekend planned in Barcelona.
Oh no.
And on the Thursday night, I remember sitting on the beach watching fireworks, and it just hit me. And
That
I
was
thought
me.
And that was you.
100% me.
I actually didn't know it was you until
Until
this
we
week.
saw, we saw each other. The first question.
And you were like, "Did you give
Serena.
it to me?" I was like, "Well, no, you definitely gave
Yeah,
it to me."
I mean, I had a question. Serena, it's great to see you. Did you give me COVID? And you said, no. How did you know I had COVID? I'm like, because I gave it to you. I apologize to you and the entire Everyman executive team in Barcelona.
But then I did say I went on to
spreader.
have the best week after, because then I stayed at home for a whole week, and I just needed that week at home to just
Relax and
relax.
recover.
So
Yeah.
thank you. Maybe.
No, that's fine. Listen, I'll take it.
Let's all 5 of us huddle around this microphone now.
Yeah, talk about movies for 90 minutes. Well, there's a lot to go over, but let's quickly go over the Fathom Events slate. Our friends over at Fathom Events, the event cinema leader in the United States, with a quick slate presentation before the filmmaker lunch. Chad, some titles being announced. What do they have going on this year?
Yeah, Ray Nutt, the chief executive officer at Fathom Events, rolling out their slate. Jean Dubarry is Johnny Depp's return to theaters.
Daniel and I have both had to awkwardly pronounce a French title at some point during this week, and now I'm
And now
glad
it's
you
my
also
turn.
have
You
to.
have to do it,
The
yeah.
French bosses, we have to give it back.
Now, if you hear a French accent in a little bit, our CEO, Julien Marcel, is floating around here the suite as we record this. That's him. We should have brought him in for this title read. Yeah, too late. All right, so when is that coming out, Chad?
So that run is from May 2nd through the 6th.
Okay, and that film played at the Cannes Film Festival last year.
Yeah.
There were some big press, big notices there. And then Colorado Company over at Fathom Events. I'm an alumnus undergraduate from the University of Colorado Film Program. Our 3 most famous alumni is Derek Chanfrance, and then these 2 guys. Matt Parker, Trey Stone. What do we have going on?
Yeah, so South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut is having a 25th anniversary sing-along, June 23rd and 26th.
It's a good musical.
It's a great musical.
It's a good musical.
Those guys are good at musicals. Not the last time you will hear those names and the word musical in this episode. So new musical from those guys coming out. We'll get into that in a little bit. Then an animated title coming back for an anniversary run.
Yeah, Coraline is a Fathom Events tradition, and it's coming back for its 15th anniversary, this time remastered in 3D.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember that was one of like the first DVDs that came with the 3D glasses. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, look at
Wasn't
that.
it? I think
Not
it was.
bad.
Yeah.
All right, and then we've got a title here that we spoke a little bit about when we talked about the Warner Brothers slate. Fathom Events partnering with the Warner Brothers on the theatrical release domestically of this documentary out of Sundance.
Right, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. I think we talked that.
Did you guys cry at the trailer presentation?
You guys got teary-eyed on that?
I did not know anything about this, and I wouldn't have thought it would be the type of thing to make me cry, but yeah, I was there.
They
Yeah.
know how to turn those waterworks on.
I think that's going to be like a sneakily good documentary. I think
Yeah.
September, we don't have a firm date on that. So you had one more title that you announced. Average Joe, what's this movie about?
So this is the true story of Joe Kennedy, the football coach who was fired for taking a knee on the 50-yard line after each game, and then took his fight all the way to the Supreme Court.
Is this a doc or a?
It's a
Narrative.
drama, yeah. It's a
narrative film.
fiction. Yeah,
They've been doing a lot
true
more
story.
work, Fathom Events has, in bringing more narrative films in sort of theatrical runs, things that are a little bit less event cinema, a little bit of a hybrid theatrical run event cinema.
Right.
Great activity there from our friends at Fathom. And that preceded the filmmaker lunch, which I have to be honest, Neither Rebecca nor I attended because we're exhausted. But Chad and Albert did. I'm going to ask you guys, Albert, starting with you, what is your personal highlight from that filmmaker lunch with John M. Chu, the filmmaker?
The Southwest grilled chicken salad that we were served. No, that was delicious.
Man, it was that bad. Apologies to Mr. Chu. We're taking that CinemaCon award back.
John M. Chu was just such a delight to listen to. Like, he could have given a monologue and we were there for it. In fact, he kind of did when he accepted his award. And then when he sat down for a chat, he was able to delve even deeper into things. But for me, what really stood out was when he was talking about Wicked, and he was talking about how many truly practical things are going to be in that film. Even though, of course, there's going to be some sort of CGI. Like, no matter how brilliant you are with construction, you can't really make Oz without a little bit of extra dazzle. But he talked about how they planted 9 million tulips. 9 million actual tulips there.
That's too much tulips.
He said that they asked him at the beginning.
Did he say anything about the Crazy Rich Asians sequel? Is it still happening? Are we still getting this?
Yeah, there was
No word.
No mention. So it was very Wicked specific,
Wicked
right?
focused.
Wicked centric. Now, for you, Chad, I know Wicked's probably the #1 movie you're looking forward to this year. What was your personal highlight? And second question here, are you more excited to see Wicked after that lunch?
Well, I really appreciated everything that he had to say about the film. I think I am already in his court. He had already, won me over, and the stuff that we saw yesterday certainly won me over even more. I'm really interested in reading his memoir, Viewfinder, which is coming out. He was just really interesting to listen to.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It was an interesting lunch. On your end, Albert, are you more excited to see Wicked after what you saw, not only at Universal's presentation, but this lunch?
Wicked got such a huge push over these past couple of days. So just like hearing, for example, that when they were doing production, they were shut down because of the strikes. I think maybe with only 10 days left on production. So that means that everybody had to pack up and go
10 days
and then
left?
come back. Absolutely. And he told this story about how Cynthia Erivo, like, they had intentionally built it so that when it came time for her to have to fly and sing at the same time, she would be prepared for that. And so she'd been working up for that. And then you get the shutdown before she can actually do it. So then she's got to go back, and Ariana Grande had already kind of like changed her voice back to her non-Glinda voice, And so it was just really interesting to hear these things that I think are going to help us to appreciate the film when we do get a chance to see it even more.
Right.
And Wicked is coming out this Thanksgiving here domestically. Let's go now over to the Paramount presentation, the first major studio presentation of the day over at the Coliseum. I don't know how you guys felt. It was a little bit funny. I was with my friends over from a major trade. I'm not going to rat him out here and say who it was. But the presentation started with like a lengthy video tour of the Paramount backlot.
We got a lot of trees and roofs of the buildings.
Yeah, and like architecture.
They used that last year. It's
They did
nice.
it too. Well, you know what? This year, the studio's for sale. It looked like a real estate video. It looked like it was going to be up on Zillow by the end of the week. Just like there's like an asking price at the bottom. It's just, I don't know. Was it part of the variety auction at the end? I felt like they wanted us to put in a bid for what we were watching before it started. Not only do you get the slate, you get all this real estate.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I had that thought as well, and I thought, I hope that this beautiful historic studio continues.
Sorry, Pat. We love you guys. We love you
Think
guys.
that it's not located in New York because it would get knocked down and replaced by a Walgreens.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, come on. Dwayne Reed. Dwayne Reed. It's not Philly, give me a break here.
Fair.
All right, so that's how it started. So it was a little bit funny as I'm just waiting to see what Chris Aronson, the head of distribution over at Paramount, shows up in. He always, ever since his Fox days, will show up to these CinemaCon presentations in a themed costume. I thought this one was really funny. We called it, by the way. We called this in our preview episode.
It's at the Caesars.
It's at the Caesars. It's at the Coliseum. He showed up in like full gladiator regalia, like riding into the Coliseum with like a fleet of soldiers. It was a nice little themed video. Always funny.
Yeah.
And because it was Chris Aronson, there was also a mention of dynamic pricing. And
Always,
pricing.
yes.
There's a quote I like that he said that premium experiences continue to be embraced, but we have to also focus on improving the non-premium experience, including pricing, which you're going to get that the last two words in there. But I think it is an important message, and it's one we've talked about, improving the standard.
Yeah, and that basically set the stage for, I think, a very good Paramount Pictures presentation here that not only showcased their slate this year, but what's a lot of announcements on what's coming out in 2025, 2026. Now, we didn't see any footage of the films we're about to talk about. Some have already been announced. Others, I think, were just breaking news. Chad, can you quickly go over some of these title announcements that we heard from?
Yeah, there's a 10th anniversary re-release of Interstellar that's going to be coming out in all sorts of premium formats.
So in partnership with Warner Brothers there, right?
Yeah,
that was back. Okay.
Yeah. And then we have Heart of the Beast, directed by David Ayer. I don't know much about this title. I don't know if there's any kind of synopsis. There's a Star Trek origin story
which we just
coming out.
That was the Chris Pine Zachary Quinto one. Like that was an origin story.
Right.
So I
So
don't
is
know if
it
they're
is it
doing
reboot?
like.
Is it
Yeah,
continuation?
we needed to hear a little bit
Yeah.
more on that maybe next year. Then this one was interesting. Is this live action or animated? We saw a
think it's
screen.
live action.
Live action? We saw a screen that G.I. Joe Transformers crossover.
I think that's live action.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
There was like definite audience.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
to that one, yeah.
So we only saw title art there. And then we've been talking about it for a while, the ability that Glenn Powell has had. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was a luncheon that Glenn Powell had when Top Gun Maverick came out, where he openly said that, I think I'm right about this, that he auditioned for the Miles Teller role in Top Gun
Yes,
Maverick.
that is
And he didn't get it. And it crushed him. He got this other part. But after talking to Tom Cruise was like, hey, listen, just sell this part, and everything will fall into place.
He was also in that interview talking about shooting the beach like football scene while like they covered in oil. So that's what I remember.
Oh yes, of course that would be. But it was I think a really heartfelt admission of a young actor basically saying, I had a shot at this role that was going to make me a star. I didn't get it. I got the lesser role, but he's been able to transition
His
from
career
that.
is very early Tom Cruise of like
Very
working
much.
with good directors.
Very much.
Like,
He's been able to go from that to Anyone But You, that did very well here in the U.S. I think opened to 9 million, ended up running to 90 million domestic. Then he's got Twisters this summer, and then he's got this Running Man remake with Edgar Wright directing. How did Anyone But You do for you guys over at Everyman?
We missed a trick with it because it didn't open that big.
Right.
And
That's
then-
always
or if
tricky.
you only have 3 or 4 screens.
Yes.
And we had it that from the end of December into January, so many films were piled on top of each other. So we had to be quite ruthless with what we
with
went
what you had.
So by the time that this took off, it was time for us to play Poor Things and One Life and whatnot.
Right.
So we kind of missed the
Glenn Powell boat. Well, you
Yeah.
will get a lot of Glenn Powell in your screens. Coming soon.
I'm excited for this Running Man remake. I'm curious because I like the book, and the movie, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, is so different. It's one of the books that King wrote under his pseudonym, Richard Bach. I'm a nerd out over it. Who was the Match Game host who played the?
No
game-
clue what you're talking about.
Oh
here.
man,
We don't go that deep into
Gene Rayburn?
Stephen King.
No, oh my God!
That's the OG
Don't
Match
I
Game.
almost got it. I'm so close.
We will catch up to this because this is a 90-minute long episode. We got ahead of it. All right.
Can we say something really quick though about the Paramount slate? It's funny because Chad, as you're reading these titles off, you're actually taking more time with them than the actual announcers did.
Yes.
Like that was my one thing about the Paramount slate. I was very intrigued with everything that was shared, but the titles came so quick during a certain batch, and I thought, okay, are we going to go back to these? Are we going to? No, that's it.
By the way, Richard Dawson, host of Family Feud and Match Game, hosting the Running Man in the original. So who's gonna be
Who's
the
gonna do
like
it?
Right.
to get Drew Carey to do it?
Are there
Like,
any game shows left? That's another question.
Or Ryan Seacrest, because he does everything.
You could do that. Yeah. All right, let's move on here on the quick titles from Paramount. We had Novocaine, that's already dated for 25 with Jack Quaid.
an untitled movie from director Jamie Chazelle. I guess Paramount's
They're
sticking
still
by
giving
him
him
even
money?
after Babylon.
All is forgiven?
He's a
That is-
director. too.
wow.
Like, I guess he
That is
Al.
nice.
Justice
Look at that
for
bounce
Babylon.
back. Good luck for
I
what's
respect
coming
the
next
swing for
from
the
him.
fences.
Yeah. All right. So let's just gloss over that real fast. We've got Better Man, directed by Michael Gracie, the director of Greatest Showman, and then a musical biopic from Ridley Scott. Chad, this is interesting.
Yeah, the Bee Gees, which, there were some people around me that were like, oh my gosh, they're older crowd. But,
Yeah. I like the Bee Gees, man.
You
It's
know
pretty
that
good.
the Staying Alive is going to be like the tagline, or
Yeah.
it's going to end the
Yeah.
trailer, or something.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And then we've got a
There's-
horror movie
Yeah, there's
coming
a
up.
horror movie, Vicious, with Dakota Fanning. The Last Ronin, which is an R-rated animated
I looked
movie.
this up afterwards.
It's a graphic novel.
It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Exactly.
Yes,
like
yes.
It's all within that universe. And it's like the one title from there that I did not talk about when I posted on Twitter. And a friend hit me up and was like, how did you leave out The Last
I
Ronin?
just don't know how they do an R-rated animated Teenage
Because you're a
Mutant Ninja
grown-ass man.
Turtles.
That's why. That's why you left out the
The
last
Mutant
row.
Mayhem was amazing. Last year. It was great.
And then a throwback to my high school days. These movies were huge when I was in high school. Scary Movie's coming back in 2025. That's always
With
fun.
the resurgence of Paramount Scream franchise, it makes sense.
Yeah. And then we teased this a little bit ago. Another musical with some interesting talent, Chad.
Yeah, Trey Stone and Matt Parker with Kendrick Lamar. A musical. We didn't have a title or really any information on it, but it's coming out July 4th, 2025.
So it's a July 4th musical from the guys that brought you. Well, oh my God, why am I blanking on their music?
Book of Mormon?
Book of
Yeah,
Mormon,
Book of
yeah.
Mormon,
And Kendrick
Kendrick
Lamar.
Lamar.
I mean, Kendrick Lamar's like, get for this. This is going to be great.
Massive.
Yeah.
Like this collaboration, like with their collective fan bases, the theaters just, you guys are going to have that booked all month.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We've got Tom Cruise coming back next year in the next Mission Impossible movie. Going to be interesting what they retitled that one. A couple more animated movies.
Liam Neeson doing a Naked Gun reboot.
We've got. How did I forget that? When is that coming out? That Naked Gun remake.
So that's coming out next summer.
Okay, I can't wait for that. Liam Neeson, Deadpan King.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do
I
it.
really like him. He fought wolves once in a movie.
did. He
Wonderful.
pushed a wolf in the
Did you see? He broke those little bottles they give you in the airplane. Put him on his fists. Oh
Like
man.
brass knuckles. But
Oh, that's how I want to go out. That's how I like. If no matter how I die, just like in Box Office Pro, my obituary, former editor
He went out
goes down
fighting
fighting.
wolves.
Just go, fighting wolves with like broken booze bottles in his
is that
fists.
what like exhibitors call it when they're trying to get better film terms?
I don't know. That's not how it feels. Yeah, is that what the negotiations are like? Sir?
Yeah,
Exactly. That's how I felt. Yeah, you go through this a weekly basis. We've got that Smurfs movie that was heavily previewed in our CinemaCon coverage last year, dated for Valentine's Day 2025. And then we've got two titles for the younger folks. What do we have coming up next year in Christmas?
Yeah, the SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants comes out at Christmas. We've also got in 2026 a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, follow up to Mutant Mayhem and the Paw Patrol, a next installment there. And then Aang the Last Airbender, the
You're a
first
fan
of
of that.
3 animated
Three.
movies. Yeah.
There's going to be 3 more Last Airbender movies. You've been burnt by this, Rebecca, as a fan. Is this like a thing in the fan community that you guys got bad
But
movies?
original
The
creators
Shyamalan movie
involved.
was that. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan adapted. It was. I'm not going to go into it, but it makes me mad. So bad. But I hope Paramount better not screw this up because the Avatar fandom has gone through enough.
Well, they got 3 coming up, all animated.
Oh, dear.
That's coming up in 2025 and 2026. No footage on any of those movies, but there was a ton of footage in the Paramount presentation. Let's start with a reaction roundtable here, starting with Transformers 1. That is the animated title on the Transformers series, computer animated, that is coming out September 13th of this year. Scarlett Johansson, when she's not suing Disney, appears on videos promoting movies. That's what she did here. And Chris Hemsworth in person showed up and gave us a nice little preview. This is the story of how Megatron and Optimus Prime went from friends to rivals.
Just what we needed. No,
That's what we were all asking for in our lives.
It gives me X-Men First Class vibes.
But also
Yeah, I can see
Wicked,
that.
but Transformers.
Wicked but Transformers. We're really selling. Take notes, Paramount. If anyone wants to.
Now, the footage we saw was in Dolby's 3D system for our exhibitor friends that have 3D systems. in their theaters, wondering how long do I have to wait for another Avatar movie to use this again? Good news, September.
The 3D looked really
Only
cool.
18 months from the last time you used them, you can use a 3D screen now. And it was cool, it was good. What did you guys feel of the 3D?
I'm not that big into 3D.
Well, that means you have no 3D screens. That's what that means. Yeah, it doesn't sound like every man's investing in 3D screens anytime soon.
It looked nice.
It looked nice, yeah. Albert, on your end, I mean, you saw in your career the rise of digital 3D and where it is now. How do you think this will sell with audiences?
I think that we're ready to put some glasses back on again. It's actually been a while since I've worn some 3D glasses in the theater.
Yeah.
Maybe Avatar, maybe The Way of Water.
Yeah,
I just thought
probably.
by the time that like they got for Chad and myself, they got to fix the glasses over glasses problem.
It's
anyone that can do that. That's an important challenge.
Yeah.
But the 3D, I think it did serve this clip incredibly well. It was like a train ride, but like gone incredibly wrong as different Earth structures or planet structures were shaping up. So our characters were really in some true danger right there, and I could feel those. Sometimes 3D can be a little cheesy, right? When like, it's coming right at
gimmick,
me.
like, whoa, a pie to the face or whatever.
Right. But in this case, since it's animation, I think that animation honestly is like sometimes the ideal platform, the ideal medium to take advantage of 3D.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's Josh Cooley from directed Toy Story 4, so I think it's in good hands.
Yeah. And we had that franchise, the live action component, really bounced back at the domestic box office with last year's Transformers Rise of the Beast. I had a really good conversation with Stephen Caple Jr., the filmmaker of that one. You guys know I'm a big Rocky fan. I think that's obvious to anyone who listens.
No.
He did, no way. Really? But he did Creed, the second Creed, and I've interviewed him in both films. I think what he did in getting that IP back on the map, Transformers back on the map with that film, is going to go a long way in pushing this title. Again, that is coming out in September. Now let's move on to the John Krasinski part of the show. He is finishing up the entire feature, If, that is his upcoming title. Coming out May 17th. Rebecca, how would you describe If?
So it is Ryan Reynolds, unlike another Ryan Reynolds movie we're going to be talking about. No F-bombs in this one. But no, it's what if the imaginary friends you had as a kid are actually real, and now because you rejected them, they're sad, and they have to like home them with families. And I thought Paramount's very clearly in the John Krasinski business at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely like interesting. It's not for me. I don't have kids. Your kid's not old enough, but it looks cute.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Any reactions from you guys on the film?
Yeah, no F-bombs, but if-bombs.
If-bombs. That's good. All right. That's what we're doing. You're the only one laughing out. That made it worse. We're not cutting this either. Just shame. Shame.
There's actually a live audience here, guys, and they're all cracking up, I promise you.
One of them's a French accent, yes.
I think I'll show up for any Ryan Reynolds film.
Yeah.
I think he sells it absolutely.
He did a good job on this one, and he's going to come back, as we said later on in the episode.
Yeah.
Now we've got two New Yorkers here and a former New Yorker in chat. A Quiet Place Day One. Anytime we have a movie where like New York is under siege, I look for my house.
It's Escape from New York with Lupita Nyong'o. Like,
that was the vibe I got.
You didn't know like New York is cut off and you have to escape Manhattan.
Well, I was looking at it, like the bird's eye view shots, the bridges, really trying to see where my apartment was. Like, how deep into the film do I die with my family? I couldn't make it out.
You're in the Bronx and I'm in Queens, so I think we're
okay. Safe for a while,
Ish.
right? Yeah. I don't know. Do I go upstate? Do I go to Jersey? Who knows?
What did you think of that?
You would have been trapped. You're out in the exposition. Yeah. The Mexican guy outlives you in this version of the movie. That's real bad. You must have had a nice apartment too. I mean, we'll get into that later.
What were your thoughts on it?
I thought that. So originally, we hadn't really seen Joseph Quinn much in any of the Quiet Place Day One footage. Now you can really see that the studio is like, oh, we've got something with this guy. So this was an opportunity to push him even more, since we'll be seeing him, in Fantastic Four. Exactly. This is going to be his moment. So the quick scene, and we won't spoil much of anything, but the point where they're like stuck in a turnstile in an office building, and you've got the monsters that are coming on after them. I love seeing characters in those really creepy predicaments, but that are also way too familiar. Like, we can imagine if I was in there, how would I do this? Could I do this any
I've
better?
gotten caught in those things before.
Yes. No shame in saying that. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting movie. It's a prequel, of course. Serena, how did it play for you?
It did good. I thought when they first announced this one, honestly, I thought, really? Another one? What are you going to do with this?
Yeah.
But I'm more excited for this, I think, than the other
After the
two.
footage.
It's more disaster
It looks great, and I think it was one of the pieces that got the best reaction from the crowd around me.
Yeah.
People really warmed to it.
That was intense. Those few clips that they showed.
The clips that we saw, I think this is going to be a big movie. From the footage we saw, I think there's going to be a lot of excitement for that. That is coming out June 28th of this year. We didn't see much from Sonic the Hedgehog 3. That's coming out in Christmas. But it does introduce a new character from the Sonic-verse.
Shadow, and how big a deal is this?
It's a Sonic guy.
It's a massive deal.
It's a massive deal.
It's a big one
Really?
because at the very end, it might have been like a post-credit sequence after Sonic 2 that you kind of get the teaser that Shadow's coming. And I remember seeing Sonic 2 and the people around me when they showed like the little teaser of Shadow at the end, like they lost their minds.
Flipped out.
They flipped out. So like they've really paced this thing out very beautifully. You give Knuckles in the second one, you give Shadow on over here. So
That sounds like dollars.
This is going to be like a nostalgia, people who grew up with this franchise are gonna dig it, it sounds like.
And one more quick thing that I'd love to share about Sonic is, you guys remember before the first Sonic came out and the original images of Sonic had him like with the scary teeth.
Yeah, we
and the
talked about
fans
this.
rebelled. Like
Yeah.
the fact, like this is such a great success story for Paramount that they listened to the people.
Yeah.
Because now you've got a whole trilogy coming out, but probably even more. And I think they have a series as well, right? There's like a Knuckles series.
Yeah.
It's one of the movies like in there with Detective Pikachu that basically proved you can do a video game movie and have it not bomb.
Yes.
Yeah, that's coming out Christmas 2024 in theaters. This was a franchise that would have died a horrible death on Paramount Plus, like everything else on Paramount Plus. But it didn't. It didn't. What? Come on! Like all 3 subscribers are offended. I'm one of them too. They got the soccer rights. But we've got Smile in theaters a couple of years ago. Now we've got the sequel, Smile 2, coming out on October 18th. I was typing, so I missed what happened.
This looked good, right?
Is it in a pop concert? What's up with this?
Yeah, Naomi Scott had like Lady Gaga vibes, and
They got me bad. I can't do horror.
Okay.
I didn't watch Smile. Even just seeing like the trailer was enough for me, and I was like, "Oh, what is this? What is this?"
Yeah.
And then when that Smile came, I was like, "Nope, check it out." But it looks good. It looks good. I just thought that's enough for me.
The first one, I mean, it was intended for streaming, and you could tell based on the budget. Like it was a small amount of characters, a pretty small scope, and they definitely have widened the universe and the scope for this one. It's like they got budget this time.
True. Look, and it's funny because when you talk about you being gotten by the trailer, and at first just thinking this was some like cool kind of pop star thing, that's also what I thought about Trap. The M. Night Shyamalan
Right,
one.
we've had 2 and I feel like it's filmmakers and studios like leaning into the possibilities of big immersive sound, maybe.
I think it's just like their attempt to maybe get the next Taylor Swift concert to distribute that one. I still think they're a little bit sour on that experience. They're like maybe if we make like vague illusions on what happens at these concerts, maybe these exhibitors will start releasing their own films when we don't.
I did like the
We'll
during
see.
Smile presentation. There was a little like somebody with the creepy smile popped up behind Adam Aaron.
yes.
Yes.
That was fun. That was fun.
That was a good shout
I don't
out.
know if you noticed, but
And we've got then I think closing up this presentation. Now I had a lot of questions on this title. I think a lot of us did. It's been a long time since Gladiator came out. But Gladiator 2, since it was announced, I think has got a lot of interest, a lot of buzz. We saw around 5 minutes of admittedly unfinished footage, but what I saw I think gave us a good feel for the film. What we saw played around a lot with the Colosseum, the Roman Colosseum as a setting. There were sharks, there were boats, there was water in there,
rhinoceros?
like angry monkeys. Like it was all sorts of CGI animals there,
You know,
messing up Paul Mescal after he got so sad at After Sun.
Like, this is not
he felt
something
better, went back in time, and is like just duking it out against monkeys and sharks.
this is not some like prequel. Like if Ridley Scott wants to do another Gladiator movie, and if he wants to put like animals in it this time, it's bizarre that last year we saw footage from Napoleon, and this year it's Gladiator 2. Like this man did 2 gigantic period movies in coming out in 2. I mean, I think Ridley Scott is the only one who could do that. But
Only
it looked really good too. I'd forgotten how good the score was to the first one. Because they had
When that marketing campaign ramps up, I think we'll be hearing a lot more of this title. But there's something there. I think I was slightly concerned coming into this event, but this is one of those examples that you see a studio presentation and you breathe easy and you become like less concerned about some of these, because it can go either way, right? It's been what, like 20 something years since the first one, and I think this is gonna offer something similar but different.
What do you? I mean, the looked like another creepy.
Oh my gosh!
person.
Like when you talk about something similar but also something different. To me, the ultimate move is placing sharks in the Coliseum, because if the movie is bad, if people don't like the movies, you're giving critics so many different great headlines, like did you jump the shark? But my favorite is like, if it is great, I want to say, wow, sharks in the Coliseum, it put the C in Coliseum.
Right.
Oh
We have to. Why did we invite them? I mean, we are the pun rate is pretty good, like on the spot. Like we didn't give him the script on this.
Everyone's a little punchy.
Well, I'm already in my second beer. You guys have to catch up because we're about to talk Disney and talking about CGI animals gracing your screens. We've got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes on May 10th. Rebecca, you interviewed two of the stars for this title for our magazine edition that's out right now.
Yeah.
What was your reaction from what they said? And you hadn't seen any footage before that interview, right?
No, I don't think I had. It came together super last minute. I think that they really, the footage we saw from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it's a really big scope. I mean, you get the vistas, and I think the landscape of it, and it's a franchise that, the foundation of it is a world building thing, and I think it looked amazing. It looked great.
Yeah. This was one title that I feel like I had been a little skeptical on. I'm getting it confused with other ape movies.
Yeah, we were talking about that as we had Albert and I was talking about that as we headed out. We just had Kong Godzilla that had ape battles.
Right.
Now we had more ape battles a month later.
But the footage that they showed, I'm all in. I want to see this now.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It's the first time this series goes on IMAX. So the PLF play is going to be great for exhibition. We saw 13 minutes and we were sold and we were convinced by the film. Coming in with the doubts we're sharing. And, we can be a little bit of a cynical bunch. And the fact that in 13 minutes you realize how good these movies are, I think says a lot for this Apes franchise. Now, title that I was glad to see announced, but I was a little bit disappointed by something we learned. Young Woman and the Sea, coming out on May 31st in limited release.
That feels
limited.
That's odd.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's Disney, it's Daisy Ridley playing the first woman to swim across the English Channel.
And it's May 31st. Like you're doing a kind of big beginning of the summer push. If you're gonna do wide, maybe a little bit earlier, place it elsewhere on the calendar.
Well, you're not competing against Furiosa. Yeah. Like they're not going to cannibalize each other. So it's going to be limited here. But this has to be a film, Serena, for your audience. It has to hit, right?
Yeah, this is our bread and butter.
Absolutely.
But I just think, when did they announced this fairly recently that it was going from D+ to cinemas?
That's a very good point that you bring up. We weren't supposed to get this title.
Yeah.
And it is
So
a
it's a
reflection.
blessing,
It is a blessing. And that's a really good point. An exhibitor correcting me on a limited release. I like that. But it is a good point in that Disney, I think, has heard a lot of the discontent from the exhibition community over some of the decisions that went down during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
They saw their slate for this year and said, hey, you know what? We have 3 Pixar movies that never hit screens. We don't have anything in the first quarter. Let's go with that. Let's roll them out again and see what happens. So they're trying here. They're getting some Disney Plus Hulu titles that are going theatrical now. You're right. It's not the wide release we want, but it could be a lot worse.
Yeah. And they got a little guff in years past for kind of, I think, cheaping out of studio presentations and not maybe bringing anyone really big in. And
I was just excited to see them present that. I thought it wasn't an obvious title to showcase, especially if you're going limited, but it was a really good trailer debut, I think.
Yeah. Totally. And speaking of that trailer, Daisy Ridley swimming through jellyfish was just so amazing.
I didn't know I wanted that.
I didn't know that I wanted it. And, I really do hope that it puts a sting on the box office.
Come on, man. Have you ever been that was really good. Serena's loving every second of this.
Do you just come up with them on
It's just I was listening to you and I'm like, oh, jellyfish
There we
sting.
go.
Have
you
we need
ever
to hang out more.
Have you guys ever been stung by a jellyfish before?
No.
I went to high school in Miami. It is not a fun experience. That's maybe why I'm not laughing.
How insensitive
sense
of you.
memory.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bring up the trauma. I'm so
Community
sorry.
does not appreciate. But no, I think I agree. I think it was nice of Disney to put this out there, to have a trailer debut out there. No one would have missed this title not being profiled. So the fact that they said, you know what, we're taking this from D+ to theaters, even if it's limited, and we're going to showcase it for exhibitors, I think is a sign of confidence in the title. Now, something that Disney really needs to work. Movies from Pixar released in June have not worked for Pixar. Exhibition needs them to work. I think the cold streak for Pixar in June is over. With Inside Out 2, Amy Poehler introduced the first 35 minutes of the movie. I stepped out because I need to work. But I'm hoping you guys sat through it. Otherwise, I'm going to awkwardly.
You didn't see it?
I'm sure I will see the first 35 minutes of Inside Out 2 soon.
Great.
Oh, that's a great endorsement.
Everybody around, it feels like a title for adults.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like.
Especially anyone with a teenage daughter, whatever.
They nailed the funny, weird Disney sidekick or two thing. And I don't want to like spoil too much of it, I guess, but there were some really good side characters with pink hair.
I'm really well. You know, I interviewed the director of Inside Out 2 in the current edition of Box Office Magazine. I haven't seen the film yet. I actually went out to Pixar for the first Inside Out, and I did a big feature story on them. I love Inside Out. I'm really excited for the sequel. I'm just waiting to see it in theaters, the whole thing. 35 minutes of CinemaCon when I'm on deadline. Yeah, I had some stories to tell.
I like representation for the extremely anxious on the big screen.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
It was so dynamic to be able to see not only anxiety come on in, but there were a few other new emotions that are introduced. And I do think that a lot of us, after seeing Inside Out 2, we're going to reassess what our favorite emotion is. Real quick, does everybody already have like a favorite emotion from the original?
Furious anger.
Okay.
It's got to be sad.
I like sad. I like sad.
I miss them all. It's hard to choose.
Yeah. I miss Bing Bong. Spoiler alert. I got teary-eyed.
There was a Bing Bong call out. Maybe you should have stayed to see the footage.
Well, I will watch the whole film. I'll pay for it. How about that? Now we go from Pixar to the Marvel announcements, talking about part of the Disney empire that really needs to get back on its feet. And I have confidence it will, starting this summer. Marvel had a number of title announcements, had some footage reveals. I think the first time we see some footage from some of these titles. Kevin Feige, who helms the Marvel division over at Disney, came on the stage and did a couple of shout outs on titles that we didn't see any footage for. But it was the Fantastic Four. Chad, when is that coming out?
Yeah, so July 25th, 2025. Obviously, this has been through a lot of reboots.
Right.
So they're hoping that this one's going to stick.
Yeah, and they announced a cast a couple of weeks ago. We'll see where that goes. Now, there's another Disney title here that was announced. There's a title tweak on this one.
Yeah, so there's an asterisk after the title, and we just heard that we won't know what that means until we see the movie.
So
it's not Thunderbolts.
It's Thunderbolts asterisk.
Thunderbolts with an asterisk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're just making our lives that much harder.
And that's one that I think we've also been looking at because of filming pushbacks and other people's obligations, we've been losing some of the favorite people that were going to be in that. Because I believe Stephen Yeun was going to be in this, I believe. And I think that this was also Ayo Adbiri. Yes.
She had to pull out from scheduling reasons.
Yeah.
She's in like every other movie, so she can't be in all of them.
Exactly. So
but we did hear from Florence Pugh with a quick video message. It's currently in production.
She was doing lunch. She was like eating her mac and cheese.
Yeah, never approach an actor while they're eating, especially on set. I'm not going to go anywhere near there. But it was a nice little video shout out from Florence Pugh, one of my favorite actors. I love Florence Pugh. Great career choices. Yeah. That's coming out May 5th, 2025. But now let's talk about the footage we did see, because this is headline worthy for, and by the way, I have to say this, the CinemaCon press section, there's a clear division. on the B2C press that shows up in cargo shorts, and then the B2B press that actually decided to put on pants in the morning. Now,
You're wearing
Albert, you're in the B2C press. Thank you for dressing like an adult at a work event. Maybe you can put in a word at the next meeting. I don't know. But you're setting the example. Thank you. But those guys were freaking out during this part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, you distracted me when you said pants because now you brought me back to SpongeBob SquarePants, and when like the subtitle is like or like the search for SquarePants, which made me wonder: does he lose his pants, and so we're trying to find his pants?
And then we have to find them.
Or does he need a new pair?
We gotta wait for CinemaCon 25 on that one.
Right, but that was not what you were asking me. I'm
No.
sorry.
I was asking about Captain America: Brave New World, coming out February 14th. Now, Kevin Feige went on stage, says that this film will resemble Captain America: Winter Soldier in that it will be a relatively grounded Marvel movie, which means no aliens. Now, for a moviegoer like me, it doesn't. I'm not subscribed to Disney Plus. I don't watch all the Marvel movies. I like one-offs in this universe. I thought Winter Soldier worked for that reason. I could relate to it. I didn't know who Zorg the Great was, or whoever you want to introduce. Is that a character? Did I just put?
made that up.
I can't follow. Okay, all the MacGuffin guys that show up last minute. No, don't bring me that element. Just give me a nice grounded. No, I don't. God forbid, I'm a journalist.
In some multiverse, I'm sure Zorg is like a thing.
It's somewhere in the bottom of the barrel. They'll have their own Disney Plus series in 2 years. But what I like about this, it's grounded, no aliens. That's why I like Winter Soldier. I think it's loud and clear on this. It had Manchurian Candidate vibes from the footage we saw. Harrison Ford co-stars, not reprising his role from Air Force One, unless it's the multiverse, and then it's got me. If there's an Air Force One lead in here, I'm in. But no, it's not.
I don't think it's a crossover, but
they're not marketing to me. Apparently.
No.
Thank God. Yeah, that wouldn't work well. So guide us through this from a B2C perspective. Why was the cargo shorts contingency in the press section so excited?
Back to the cargo, and this is not sponsored by Gap, guys. I think, to be honest, when it comes to cargo shorts, there's just a great utility to them, you know? So if you are someone who's got like a microphone like in your pocket and you got to keep your phone and your charger, it's very utilitarian and it kind of makes sense practically.
Women don't get pockets in our clothes.
Right. That's true. That's so unfair. We got to work on that.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited to just there have been like so many delays and pushbacks. It's like finally Anthony Mackie gets his damn movie.
So Anthony Mackie's obviously taking the central role here as Captain America. How long did we see of this? Like 5 minutes ish?
It was probably about. Was it a little longer or was it 5? I don't. But it felt long to me, but like in the best kind of way because we haven't seen this and we've been talking about it, like you mentioned, Rebecca, for such a long time, and the internet has had like very strong opinions on like that's not my Captain America. You know, some people are not down with it. It's so what I loved about this though, Daniel, is that in the clip that we saw, there's like a direct kind of call out on that because he says or somebody says like, "You're no Steve Rogers."
Right.
And does he say like, "I know," or something like
that? Because he put easy on you, and I will kick your ass.
Absolutely. And so there's just like this great bite and this great look. I know you guys already have some shaped opinions about this, but like I'm here. Get used to it. I love it.
Yeah, it was exciting. I like the. You know, it felt more, like grounded. More, they're definitely like, you like Winter Soldier, we're doing that vibe again. We're doing that one.
Yeah, that's my favorite Marvel movie. I think. I'm into this one.
I'm like debating whether or not to open up about this. And I'm going to do it now very publicly, but I'm a Marvel super fan.
That's wonderful. The director of film at Everyman Cinemas is a Marvel super. That is good. That is a good thing to be open about.
I'm currently reading a book about Marvel, which I've brought with me. And I'm actually now debating going back and redoing all the films in order. So when they put the Marvel logo up, I was like, right, let's see what you've got. And this was probably the most excited I've been here at CinemaCon.
Really?
Seeing that footage of Captain America, I was like, okay, this is going back to the original Marvel. This is what we want to see, and that got me. And I'm really happy that they delayed the film because I think we need that time as an industry just to put a little bit of a pause, get rid of this whole superhero fatigue, and come back fresh. But going into the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, how do you, as a Marvel fan, how do you feel about Deadpool versus Wolverine?
And Wolverine. It's as they're bros in this one.
Oh my gosh. To have seen 9 minutes of that was just the highlight.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe. I wish there was more we saw. There was things that I really wanted to see, and I know they weren't going to give us
They
that.
definitely do like the Deadpool like meta references.
Yeah.
My
So-
favorite part was the opening "Turn off your cell phone"
Yeah.
sequence that they were.
Yeah, there's a quick little like snipe before the event started at the Disney presentation with Wolverine and Deadpool doing a quick like message, turn off your cell phones. The fact that they're already putting those activations, those theatrical activations in mind, we know a lot of circuits run those, is great. And we did get to see, as you mentioned, Serena, 9 minutes of footage from Deadpool and Wolverine. A couple of spoilers that actually, I think they did ask us to be a little conservative on what we shared here. We can share our excitement. July 26, 2024.
They're cursing. They're cursing. That feels like it feels like
A lot of cursing,
Disney's like marketing campaign for this is we can curse now.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yes.
mind. I don't mind it. They're making a point of that.
That's the pure excitement of 12-year-old boys,
Yeah.
and that's what's going to sell this. July 26, 2024, R-rated film. For my money, this is going to be the highest-grossing film of the year.
Ooh.
R-rated film. I'm putting that out there.
Is it
I
gonna?
hope I'm correct. And honestly, what I'm rooting for, I'm hoping Wicked is the highest-grossing film of the year, and we have a film with a diverse cast, with a diverse filmmaker that is not an action movie, that is not a Marvel movie. I am rooting for Wicked to do that, but that is an unfair expectation on Wicked. It has the potential. I think it's an unfair expectation. I think Deadpool and Wolverine will not only reset the superhero fatigue that you're talking about, Serena, but it has really, really, really big potential. Looking at the slate this year to get there.
But okay, do you think that it will become the highest grossing R-rated film? Is it going to take the crown from Joker?
It might. I think it will to do this. I think it will. It might or it will.
Take it back.
And then Joker 2, but I think Joker 2 has a challenge in that tonally what we saw from Warner Brothers, it's in the same spirit, but it might be an extra step too far for that extra ticket buy. We went over this
and
in
the
the
novelty
podcast.
of the first Joker and the tone being new to the franchise was a part of it.
I think the cynicism and the just openness about the superhero fatigue on Deadpool and Wolverine, these are the superhero movies that don't feel like superhero movies, these Deadpool movies. I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air in the entire sector.
You're going to get every single teenage boy trying to sneak into this movie, though. Like, it's R-rated,
Right,
so they're supposed to
R-rated.
be...
Oh, man, extra staff.
They are...
Staff up.
This is, yeah.
Yeah. Now, they did, Kevin Feige did say that there is going to be, I hope he wasn't kidding, but he did say this, there is going to be a Deadpool-designed popcorn tub.
And it is going to be intentionally risque. Shout out to our friends at Zinc Group who designed the Doom 2.
I love leaning into that. I love that lean into the
Ryan
theatrical
Reynolds
experience.
tweeted about it when the trailer came out, so I think it's a thing.
I'm looking forward to
And
it.
I think that it's funny. I'll say this: on the trade showroom floor, Zinc was there, and they did have Deadpool stuff there. Now, we weren't allowed to take photos of that. They were like, don't take photos,
okay.
don't take videos. So I don't think that it's revealing anything that they weren't ready to reveal because it was right there in the public on the floor. But yeah, they got this one. And so when we saw what they did with Dune 2, who knows?
Who knows what's up next? I'm
We
excited.
have a standing podcast invitation to come back and talk.
We love those guys. Did you get the Dune 2 popcorn bucket in your circuit?
No.
Did you hear about this in
Yeah,
the UK? It's hard to
I
not.
saw it.
Yeah, I was wondering if that made it up there.
Speaking of strange anatomical body horror type stuff,
Yeah, and my favorite strange anatomical body horror stuff out there. Alien
I'm like,
is
keep it
back.
moving. I want to go sleep.
I
No,
know.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
We've got the next Alien movie coming out on August 16th. A title that I believe was originally intended for Hulu, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
Now it's going to theatrical. Now, full transparency here, Rebecca and I are both Prometheus and Alien Covenant apologists.
Yeah.
We will defend those movies. Do not step up to us. This will be a 4-hour-long
Yes.
podcast. If
Ridley
you do.
Scott can do what Ridley Scott wants to do.
We will
about
forgive him.
weird religious
Italian
stuff.
accents in space, go for it.
Will
I
I
want
upset
to.
you if I say I have not seen a lot of these films?
Have you seen Alien? Yeah. Okay. That's all I
Okay,
need. Yeah.
that's all you need. That's a good one.
Okay.
Now, Alien Romulus, that is coming out, as they said, in August 16th. We got to see some footage that I think sold a lot of people in that presentation. There was a great face hugger action sequence. I don't think we've seen a great face hugger action sequence. You can correct me, Rebecca. Since Aliens, since the Cameron sequel, that's the best one. That's the high watermark.
This was, I can see Chad. This was like gross. This was gross. This was had some moments of shots of like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a chest burster scene that we saw.
Yeah.
I missed chest bursting. The Covenant, both Covenant and the Prometheus, there was a back burster. Was there a chest burster in those? I forget.
The in Prometheus there was like the little birthing tank scene.
Yeah.
The Ridley Scott is really scared of pregnancy scene, which
Ultra frightening. Now, what I want to know, talking about merchandising, and I think I've said this in the podcast before, I really want Disney stores to sell plush toys of face huggers or xenomorphs for my infant child. It will go in her crib. Kathleen, I know you're working on franchising. I don't know if you are listening. Just put in a word for us. I'll buy two.
If you can do a new Deadpool popcorn bucket, you can do baby
a face hugger plush for my child's crib. I'm looking forward to that.
There is an Alien children's book, a picture book.
I know. It's out of print, I think. I'm trying to find it. I know. I'll see if I can get to it. Now, what the footage we saw is closer to the vibe of the first two Alien films, Alien and Aliens. Not too much into the philosophical, like mumbo jumbo of the movies we really like, of Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Are you familiar with? It's not something that I've played, but I know of it. That Alien video game, where the premise of it was that like it was scary as hell, and the alien would just kind of pop out.
The survival horror game.
Yeah, I kind of.
There's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre game.
What?
That's also survival horror oriented.
It is,
I don't know how I feel about that.
No, I know. We have to try it. I'm not into video games, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So that's coming out. Any reactions other than Rebecca and I geeking out on this one?
Yeah, very loud. Like it was maybe it's just because we were in the Coliseum, but so much screaming around every single corner. You have no idea like what's coming after you. But one of my favorite things about that footage was that most of the damage was actually not done by the aliens. Like most of the damage was like, oh, the human kicked this thing by mistake. Right, let the emergency brake off. And I was like, oh, this is actually a really fun kind of game of like mousetrap. Like you hit this and this falls down, and this explodes.
Like the original Alien is truckers in space, and this felt like I don't a crew of a motley crew, you know.
Yeah, I really like that aspect of what we saw. That's coming out in mid-August. Now let's go to the Serena Gill part of the podcast. Searchlight, your bread and butter. What pays your rent? Movies you're getting. Let's talk about A Real Pain coming out October 18th. One of the most talked about Sundance titles of the year, written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't know if you got this title from A24. I'm forgetting the actual title. I think. I can't even start remembering.
Was it the one about the pizza guy?
No. It was a film about a social worker and played by Julianne Moore and her son.
When you finish saving the world?
Yes, when you finish saving the world. I really like that. When I saw that at Sundance a couple of years back.
Did he direct that one?
He directed that one as well. And it's one of those examples where when you have a directorial debut from an actor you know, that you're like, okay, there's a lot of talent here. I want to see where this goes. One of the most talked about movies at Sundance this year was his next feature, A Real Pain, heading out to theaters on October 18th from Searchlight. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see much of it, even though it's already screened, basically, at a festival. I think they're saving this for closer to award season. Trina, have you seen it yet? Have they screened that for you?
I've actually been living under a rock, and I don't know anything about these films.
Your job. It's not like anyone listens.
There are so many films to keep track of. I think at times we need better quality films, and then we just need more awareness, more marketing. The films are there. Sometimes the audiences just don't know about them.
That's a great way of putting it. Promotion, right? Promotion. We talked about that in the first episode here of our series. It's not just more films. More films alone aren't going to get us out of this situation.
It's a variety of films.
It's a variety of films and awareness. Yeah. Awareness of those films. I know Sperling Reich, who was on this podcast on, I believe on Tuesday, was saying at the UKCA conference, slate awareness was one of the main topics that you guys discussed.
And also, I mean, I always live by this mantra now: quality over quantity. I would much rather have, a couple of really amazing titles than 4 to 5 mediocre ones. But going back to this, yes, I don't know a lot about these, and that was probably the only disappointing thing I would say about this slate presentation was not getting any footage from the Searchlight slate.
We could have
That's what
had
I was there.
But another thing that exhibitors were bringing up a lot over the last few days is you've got to give us the things that we need to start marketing things earlier.
Yeah.
We don't know about these.
And the real painting is completed. It's screened. Yeah. I think a trailer or a little footage reveal would have gone a long way because it's not just major circuits that are there here at CinemaCon. There's a wide variety of folks that are serviced by the Disney output, and I would have liked to have seen something from this title. We also didn't see anything from the film Night Bitch coming out December 6th, 2024. That is not only my nickname, but it is a comedy horror film based on a popular book starring Amy Adams. That's just what you call me behind my back. Sometimes to my face. I'm looking at Rebecca, by the way. That's not your nickname for me, right? Yeah, no comment. No. But we did get to see a little bit of a trailer here from the new Yorgos Lanthimos title, scheduled for quick turnaround for Yorgos. Yeah. June 21st, 2024, Kinds of Kindness.
It wasn't a new trailer, though. Like, if you could...
It wasn't? It had already been out there?
Yeah.
See, now I don't know about this one. That was just announced to be part of the Cannes lineup. It didn't tell me much
it felt
of what this
very
movie
more
was
like
about.
a killing of a sacred deer, the lobster vibes than something that
like
had
The Favorite
or plot.
Right. I have to, as you mentioned that, I have to do a quick anecdote. Back before I met my wife, back in I think 2011, 2010 when this movie came out, I was seeing this girl I had a really big crush on, and it was working really well. And it's at that point when like dating goes to like Facebook official. Back in the early 2010s, that was a thing, right? So I thought we were going to be Facebook official in dating, and I took her out near Lincoln Center. We went to a great dinner at a French restaurant, and then I took her to see Alps from Yorgos Lanthimos. And she never called me again. I got ghosted after I took a date to see Alps from Yorgos Lanthimos, and that was that. If I get to interview him, I will bring this up to Yorgos. But yeah.
So you brought up bad date movies. I made the same mistake and brought a first date to go see Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. And
which one? The Sony one or
the Sony one?
Oh, that is not. No one's. Yeah, that's not going to get the results you want at the end of that night. Yeah. All right. Enough about failed dating experiences on our end. Let's go to undated films. Ella McKay, James L. Brooks title. We're on a roll here. By the way, our CEO Julian Marcel has just arrived and joined us. The only person without an alcoholic beverage as we record. Please don't judge us.
Thanks for noticing it.
We're here in the middle of the of our slate recap, so feel free to chime in with reactions, either from the films themselves or just related topics as we go over everything at CinemaCon. We're in the middle of talking right now on some of the titles that Searchlight was showcasing. We didn't get to see any footage from Ella McKay, as I mentioned. That's an undated title.
With a cast of a ton of people. It was a big ensemble cast.
Yeah, it's a political comedy from James L. Brooks. More information on that as it comes out. Visit boxofficepro.com to find out more. But we did get to see a little bit about a revenge action thriller with Rami Malek, The Amateur, that was recently pushed out of the 2024 schedule, rescheduled for April 11th, 2025. Quick sneak peek on that. Any reactions on that film? That was a sigh. That was a sigh from all of us.
That was an awkward silence.
Yeah. But it's I am happy that we have an original film coming, and I feel like honestly that was what was touted as like its best attribute was that it's original.
Which is Liam Neeson has made this movie 18 times.
Well, I was going to say this wasn't part of the Lionsgate presentation. And it kind of seemed like it's a Lionsgate movie. And this was the highlight, the one we're about to get into of our presentation. Director Barry Jenkins coming on stage to introduce footage that I did not expect we would get to see. of Mufasa the Lion King coming out on December 20th, 2024. I don't know if you guys know this. Barry Jenkins was an usher at the AMC Aventura 24 in Miami.
And this is an anecdote he brought up, and the crowd loves it. They eat it up.
Yeah, he worked at that AMC during the summer of 1999. True story. I lived in Miami. I was living in Miami in the summer of 1999. I went to that movie theater.
You might have seen.
So that's the thing. I might have just interacted with an Academy Award-winning director.
He's won an Oscar now.
Yeah, I know. Also, a big Miami guy. I'm always happy when Miami guys succeed in this business. So that's a nice little anecdote that he brought in. Now, what is this? Is this a Lion King prequel?
It's a prequel.
It's a prequel.
Origin story type of.
Right.
It's about the daddy.
Okay.
But it's funny because it seems we got to see Mufasa as a kid lion in there. Okay, I should say cub, I guess. But like seeing a lot of the action and the playful parts really did look like it was Simba hanging around and like doing I just can't wait to be king. So I'm so curious about how this works because you've got to make it different enough to not just be the Lion King, but like we've always only known Mufasa to be this like wise sage.
It's a bold thing to do because like the Lion King is Hamlet. They're essentially doing a Hamlet prequel, right? Like that's this is one that I think I was the one person in the world who did not see the photorealistic animated Lion King.
You were one of two on this podcast. I didn't see it either.
I mean, it made so much money. It's one that I wasn't particularly interested in this film, really, honestly, that much. The bits I'd seen of the earlier one, it's like, okay, it's photorealism, but lions don't emote. So, but this is one that I'm tentatively excited for this one. And largely it was, hearing Barry Jenkins be so passionate.
That's it. I'm rooting for Barry Jenkins.
Yeah.
If I go to see this, it's for Barry Jenkins rather than
he sold it because even I think the range on this is so huge as to where it might end up.
Yes.
That he bumped that needle up just the way he spoke about it, and I love that he drew on the fact of not being the obvious choice, having done Moonlight, and even he had his
he acknowledges
reservations,
this is an odd
And I think that Disney's like being the incredibly savvy marketing space that they are, I think that they're going to put him front and center throughout this entire campaign. Get him on all the shows.
I hope he gets that bonus check for doing it too.
Yes. And now the next title coming out from Disney, ending the Disney presentation part of the podcast, was Moana 2. Now that's coming out on November 27th, 2024. A surprise title on the calendar. We weren't expecting this in the exhibition community when the year started. I think it was going, I don't know, I think what I hear, it was going to be an animated series on Disney Plus. And then they said there's potential here. Again, going back to Disney hearing what exhibition is saying, hey, we need more titles. You need to come in with things. And they retooled it. I believe this is the case. For a theatrical experience coming out on Thanksgiving. Now, true story, over the weekend, I was in LA with our CEO, Julian Marcel, and he was very nice to invite me to dinner. And I'm actually, this is the first time I tell you, Julian, as you listen to this, I said, you know what, no, I'm sorry, I have other plans, I have dinner plans with a friend. And I went to see my friend after my CEO invited me to dinner, and he said, you know what, let's not go to dinner, I want to watch WrestleMania. And you know who was in WrestleMania? It was The Rock. And I watched The Rock do a 45-minute, like highly choreographed wrestling thing on Saturday night in Philadelphia in the cold. And today he's in Vegas selling a movie.
I thought I was hallucinating. I'm like, because they had a really nice kind of intricate dance and drumming routine, and then it's like, did somebody just wander off the? Wait, that dude's really buff. Holy crap! Disney got The Rock.
Oh, he was in fighting shape because he just came. Literally, it's like a 45-minute thing. I'd never seen a WrestleMania before.
Oh, it's
I don't think. Like, what are you're saying, really, Serena?
Oh, I grew up with
with the WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was
You like
WWF back
MMA
then.
and auto racing and boxing. It's not a stretch.
It's not a stretch, I know. But yeah, no, that was a surprise for me to see him in person. But that's a commitment. The Rock will always take the time to show up to CinemaCon to sell these movies. Moana is a soundtrack that in my house, now that I have a kid, that soundtrack plays on a loop. And
I
I can't
have it
wait
on
for
a loop and I don't have a kid.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? It's a great. I think it's the greatest thing. Apologies, Chad. The greatest thing Lin-Manuel Miranda has ever done. Might
No,
ever
I think
do.
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really just never know how far you'll go when you listen.
I love it.
Wait, that was
Eating it up this entire time. We're rolling our eyes here.
All I want to say about The Rock, though, is that he did end up getting an award on stage as well. Is it like
Spirit
the
of
spirit?
the industry.
Spirit of the industry. And I'm like, you know what? That makes sense for him because he is someone who he puts his full weight, his full strength behind every single project that he releases. He's going to do it.
He's a movie star. I mean, that's what we've been talking
That's
about
movie
throughout
star.
this podcast. You know, who's on the cusp? You know, Glenn Powell's and
But we need movie
The
stars.
Rock
Yes,
is you know, I think he sells the movie
there.
on his own merits, and he's a showman. He's a wrestler. You have to be.
And one last thing that I'm curious about regarding that, I know that we also have the live action Moana that's going to be coming out soon. And I think that, like, I'm curious about where that got moved back on the slate in order to do this animated Moana
Who's
2
going to
versus...
be The Rock live action? If
It's
not
The Rock.
It's
It
The
is
Rock,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's like, all
We'll
right.
talk more about that live action Moana probably in next year's CinemaCon
Yeah, it's
podcast.
moved to 2026.
2026. So it's
got
moved
it.
a little bit on the schedule. There was an actor strike very recently, so that might have something to do with it. But let's go over our main takeaways from CinemaCon now that it's coming to a close. I want to start with our boss here. Julian, what number of CinemaCons is this for you? Because this is my 10th. I remember our first one. My first one was with you in 2014. And if I'm at 10, I don't know how many you're up to.
I think I'm at 19. My first one was at the Bally's in Paris back in the days. That was
Yeah.
a show West. And it was, I think, 2005.
So
All right.
next year's going to be the big round number.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be a big event for everybody to know that it's going to be my 20th CinemaCon.
We'll do
probably
it at
throw
the
a party
party
or something.
Yeah, we'll do something like that. We have to get a better suite
The
next year.
usual
is what
stuff,
you're
right?
saying. Yeah. So what was your main takeaway of obviously you're looking at the industry, not only helming a company with B2C media properties, B2B media properties, but you're also involved on the data side of the business, on the website side of the business, e-commerce. What's your main takeaway from this event?
Well, my first takeaway is that on top of the two categories of attendance that you mentioned, B2B journalists and B2C journalists with different dress codes, you also have another category of dress code, which is people like me that wear a jacket but miss half the studio presentations and are very frustrated that they will miss so much of the content. So that's why I'm
It's good you own a podcast that you can catch up on.
I'm listening
everything you
carefully.
missed.
I'm listening carefully to all your comments because that's a good catch-up opportunity for me. Thank you, guys. A few key takeaways for me. Number one, I think there is a sense of a certain gravitas this year in the atmosphere. I mean, everybody is aware that 2024 is a challenging year. Nobody pretends it's not. There is a sense of optimism on what is coming, but at the same time, for instance, this morning I was attending the Paramount presentation, and I think in the call to action that we got from the Paramount execs, there is a sense of this is a turning point for our industry. We've been through so much, but now is the moment to redefine the right basics. There was this sense that we all recognize that not all patrons have returned to the movie theaters, and we need to work on that, and we need to tackle that as a real issue. So that's one element is we do not pretend everything is just simple and fine, and we heard also the comments on the smaller exhibitors that have a major risk related to access to capital. So a sense of seriousness, that's one thing, and realism, which I found was really positive. And at the same time, there is also this overall optimism on what is coming. Really, the studio presentations, and I got the confirmation from what I'm just hearing now from you guys, is everybody's very excited by what we see from all the studios. And also with something that struck me, which is a lot of original content. We have discussed at length the fact that you cannot run an industry just with sequels and prequels, but there is much more to the lineups this year, and even beyond the franchise. I love what I heard from Universal when we met last week with them in LA, where they were saying you have several categories. One are the sequels, prequels, etc. And another one will be original content based on beloved brands. That's the
The
Barbie,
franchises of tomorrow.
and I think that's also interesting to say, okay, to be successful, we need to be deeply rooted in the pop culture, and the pop culture comes from all places, including gaming, but many other areas. So I really love to see all this diversity of content, and so I think these are some of my key takeaways. And of course, the other big thing, I think, at CinemaCon this year, you all noticed it. Many more French people than usual.
Yes, we did bring.
That was the big thing.
46 French exhibitors.
Yeah. We
We
doubled.
bussed them in. We literally got a bus full of French people. We drove them from LA to Vegas.
And that's my chauvinistic moment because I forgot to mention I'm French. Nobody paid attention.
Spoiler alert here, watch out.
And I really love that to see that an iconic movie theater from Paris, the Grand Rex, which all studios and directors know very well because it's a beautiful place in Paris, the biggest auditorium in the world currently in action. I love that they were recognized and that there was the French industry behind them and a lot of exhibitors having gone all the way to LA and Vegas to cheer up for the Grand Rex. So that was my chauvinistic contribution to this.
Also showcased in the CinemaCon issue of Box Office.
Yeah,
which I think we've
profiled-
taken them away at this. I don't know if we've
Our subscribers have them in their office, which is like most
it's
of our
a gorgeous
listeners.
theater. It's
Really a special theater. If you're ever in Paris, check out the Le Grand Rex. I think it was a really interesting event. I want to go over everybody else's takeaways here on the panel today. Now, Serena, it was your first CinemaCon.
Yes.
What was that like? And I haven't given you COVID yet. But,
Yes.
so we're
Please, I'm staying
okay.
on in
Yeah,
LA,
we gotta.
so please don't ruin that for me. Well, I cannot believe this is the last day. I feel like I blinked and it's over. I have loved every second of it. I actually turned up to one meeting and someone was like, "Wow, you're perky," and I was like, "Hey, I'm excited."
Was that on Monday? Because by now we're all
Tuesday.
zombies. Okay, yeah, that's early enough.
I decided to tone it down a little bit after that, but I found it really interesting. I think I've found a lot of mixed messaging about the state of the industry and where we are, and I guess that just depends who you are in the industry because it is very different for the different people.
Yeah. Right.
But I found a lot of the seminars and the talks to actually be quite a downer as to where we're at and where we're heading, whereas I don't think that completely married up to what we saw in the slates. Because,
Right.
And I'm so glad we have ended with the Disney slate, and we've all come away so excited. I want to get back. I want to start working on this stuff, and I feel optimistic.
Yeah, the slate looks amazing. I definitely picked up on the tension between exhibitors and studios popping up in the panel and the programming. Not that that's a new thing.
Yeah, but you know what it was like?
I was surprised. I was like, is there really this many issues?
Oh, you guys weren't here in 2021.
Okay.
I mean, we had to show up with like football pads.
Wow.
That was an exciting one.
Yeah.
I still maintain best CinemaCon I've ever gone
Really?
to. The one in August in 2021, the COVID rescheduled one. It was just like significantly less attended than here, but it was only people that were fully committed. And I mean that, and I'll call them out. I'll mean that in the terms of the studios that decided to attend and the vendors that decided to attend and not. The people that attended, I'm always going to remember, and I'm always going to remember the ones that didn't. Now, Albert, on your end,
That's ominous.
Right? Okay.
well, it felt combative back then. It really did. It felt like we were at the cusp of not existing. Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, at the time, people had actual legitimate health reasons, to make their decisions. But there's different ways of supporting something like CinemaCon that don't involve showing up, even if you have concerns. And we needed that support. And I'll always be thankful for the people that supported. Now, Albert, talking about COVID and post-COVID, pre-COVID, this is actually your second one.
My second one. I think my first one was like 2011.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
I want to hear your experience. What's your major takeaway after that long gap?
Yeah, so there are so many more members of the press here. now than there were back then. And
the cargo shorts people.
The cargo shorts.
They all showed up.
Now
We
you see
invited them
them
over the last 10 years.
Now you see them 2, or now you see them 3. But what I loved about that is to me that shows that there is an even greater amount of people outside of the film industry who are just devouring content. Like we, whether or not we own a movie theater, whether or not we work in the industry, if we are a movie fan, we're on Instagram, we are on X, we are on Threads, we're going anywhere we can in order to just like find out a bit, like get a little tasty morsel. And I've seen that just by posting on social, certain things that we can take for granted, like by working in the industry, right? Like you're sitting in a room, you're like, oh, of course, like that's a beautiful image. That's the key art of the movie. Move along. You post a picture of the key art online. Oh my gosh.
Well, I want to ask you because our social is more B2C based just because we're a small staff and you know, B2C. Yeah. What hit on social? Like what was the
what were the movie fans looking at from your coverage this week?
It's funny. I'm getting like the live updates now. So of course, as soon as I put anything regarding Kevin Feige up there, and like I think there was a post that I put. The dynamic pricing conversations. Like the $5 concession spent per tax, people are going, I told you. Well, actually, the AMC apps go figure. Very active. But honestly, just even saying like, oh, Kevin Feige has taken the stage. Retweet.
You're like, yeah, he did take that stage.
He took that stage, right? Like, and they can just like even showing little pictures of things, or me saying, hey, they just showed me 35 minutes of this film, and whoa, it's scary. People take that because they're like, it's just something. So to go back to what we were talking about, I don't know if we're lacking for content, if we're lacking for films, but we are still like hungry and voracious for any kind of thing that we can get, and especially when it's quality. But to go to when we were talking about the sequels, and I feel like we're now in this era of the prequels, because it's like, did we run out of, we've done the part 1 and the part 2, so now let's go to like the part 0, or like the -1,
Right. Yeah.
and all
that's
that.
A really good point.
But we do, I think that there are so many franchises that are still strong, and with the amount of original stuff that's coming on now, it's just so promising. Yeah. It's so promising.
You know what? I have to have a meeting with Rebecca and Chad here. Our EBITDA tweets are not performing like a Kevin Feige tweet. Our quarterly earning reports tweets just are not getting that level of engagement.
The algorithm is just being like here we go. Yeah,
we got to step it up.
Just by posting the screen capture of like the Fantastic Four logo and then the Thunderbolts asterisk logo. Right now, like 195 people have liked that.
They already released like title treatment for Fantastic.
It's already been out there, but people just feel like they're in the room, and so I think that this is good. I think people are hungry.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson. I think for the entire industry, people want to get excited about movies to go see in theaters.
They want to get excited earlier.
And they want to get excited earlier, and they will track these release dates. Rebecca, from your perspective, what do you walk away from in this edition?
I mean, I'm gonna get super inside baseball area with it, I guess, just because I nerd out over those things.
Albert, are you tweeting this? Are you ready? He's gonna get 2 likes.
Hot take.
Yeah.
I like the trade show floor. I missed the spicy Adam Aaron panel because I wanted to walk that trade show floor, and it's always really interesting to see year to year what there's more of. I mean, I think, and I have heard this from friends from vendors on the trade show floor as well. Like family entertainment centers and the arcades and the toys and the merchandise like that, I think definitely saw a big jump from previous years. Which I mean, it's a moot point for us because we're in New York and nobody has space for that. Yeah. And also, I think that. Studios have definitely been listening when exhibitors say they want more films. Exhibitors have said other things at this show regarding the marketing and the operational nuts and bolts, and I guess
and the number of screens in a country. No, it's been
we'll see
a revealing
if the studios listen there, but the studios I feel like are definitely promoting a wide swath of titles across budget ranges, across genres. So yeah, there's something for everybody.
Yeah, I think on my end, it's probably very similar. There's been CinemaCons that have felt like recent CinemaCons that have felt like our backs were against the wall, and that's why I cherish that 2021 one, where it's just if you're invested in this industry, you're going to show up, and I will always look at that show as something special. I think CinemaCon has evolved significantly. That's why I wanted to ask you, Albert, you know, how it's changed from what was like the early 2010s to today. But I think the big change now, that at least in the last 5-year perspective that we had, is the phrase "only in theaters" isn't the headline for Box Office Pro. Rebecca and I spent the last 3 years typing headlines that this was a theatrically exclusive title at this event. And that was newsworthy for the last 3 years.
There was a certain defensiveness, and I think reasonably so and justifiably so. And at the same time, I mean, just from an editorial perspective, especially then, like if a title went day and date, we do filmmaker interviews. If it was going day and date, we were not writing about it.
No, because we back this industry. We're very much, there is a clear bias in what we do, and I think we're transparent about that.
Oh, totally.
We're a trade publication focusing on theatrical exhibition that is read by theatrical exhibitors.
There's less of that contentiousness. There's less of that. We saw Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, something that goes day and date can be successful. I think you know, everybody knows that not having you know, I'm not going theatrical at all for these big films just doesn't work. So I feel like we can feel the industry I think recovering from the pandemic, like in real time, and working through some of those issues that have been in the pages of Box Office for over 100 years, like Windows.
Yeah, no, and I think it's an evolving conversation. And I think that leads into my favorite part of coming to CinemaCon since we started the podcast. Something we made up after a couple of drinks a couple of years ago. I'm my third beer. Did you guys even? Okay, all right.
You're the only one.
I'm the only one still drinking.
Oh, you bought 3 beers to
I
the
knew
table.
it would be 90 minutes, so I'm at 3.
One of those was Rebecca's.
Oh, these are empty. No way. All right, this is good. Let's start the Box Office Pro CinemaCon Awards that we just made up on a whim. Answer the ones you want to answer. The ones you can't, don't. All right. We're going to start with either best or favorite studio presentation. Chad, let's start with you. What studio presentation stood out the most for you?
I'm going to echo Adam Aaron and say I'm not going to pick my favorite parent maybe in this case.
You stole Serena's line. Her job actually depends on not having to have an opinion on
I
this.
definitely can't speak for
She has to be a
studio.
You're not getting fired for your opinion. She is. You can be open. That's okay. All right. Well, it's copy paste. Copy paste. No comment from the exhibitor in the room. Albert, Amazon isn't gonna. Come on, they just released Roadhouse.
Oh yeah, you're right. You know, it's so funny. Like there was a part in the Adam Aaron panel where they talked about that a little bit. But yeah, I think that. I thought that Warner Brothers, I used to work, shout out to Warner Brothers, I thought they did a really beautiful job in terms of using this stage.
The set design for Warner Bros., like with the screens,
those
the
extra screens, beautiful.
Yeah.
But I got to give this one to Disney. I have to give it to Disney. Disney came with the most footage. I think, did we get 75 minutes?
75 minutes.
I wasn't expecting to see as much new as we saw footage-wise.
They brought a lot.
I like the stance of just let the content speak for itself.
Yeah.
And when it's that good.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
In the past, it's been like, okay, D23 is going to hold on to all its good stuff for its own conference.
They prioritized. We have to do a shout out. Disney prioritized theatrical this year at CinemaCon. They prioritized. They told us about titles that weren't going to be in theatrical that are now in theatrical, and they, like you mentioned, Albert, 75 minutes.
Dropped a lot of F-bombs.
And I feel like, and maybe part of that too is because in the past, the Disney slate has been so focused and heavy on superhero genre. Yeah. But, you know, this year with this being our slimmest superhero set of offerings from Disney, just one, that actually created a lot of space for other stuff to breathe. And I think it challenged them to fill it up. So I think they did a beautiful job.
Rebecca, best studio presentation.
I liked the first half of one the best. Okay, I'm gonna do it. No, I'm gonna say it's almost Universal.
I'm agreeing with you.
It was Universal.
So they had like a light show at the end. With that,
but
the Universal light show, I'm gonna agree with that.
They had a whole horror movie montage, like that's happened.
I like that.
Right,
And now we're gonna go through the movie awards. The titles with the most buzz leaving the show, the biggest revelation, meaning the biggest surprise, and the movie you are most personally excited to watch. Miss Exhibitor, are you gonna wade into these waters?
I will. This one's okay. Biggest revelation for me. Monopoly. Margot Robbie.
Ooh, and we didn't even see
We
footage.
didn't see anything, but just hearing those two names side by side, that was enough.
That's
And there was
interesting.
like an audible reaction in the room.
Yeah.
Because last time she did something with an inanimate object and made $1 billion. All right, so that's the biggest revelation for you. The most buzz leaving the show. What do you think?
It's got to be Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah. 90
I mean,
minutes.
it came into it. I mean, the Deadpool presence was like, what, 2 hours ago?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, they didn't have to show it. They could have saved it for Comic-Con or Comic-Con Junior or whatever. They brought it to CinemaCon, and I think it really
If
helped.
they want to give an exclusive to any trade publication for the popcorn tub.
We're it. Yeah. That's
Show
our
us
angle.
some
We're the
love.
only ones that would probably raise our hands.
I do think that the timing had a lot to do with it too, because I think Deadpool and Wolverine, I think that comes out on Comic-Con weekend. Like it comes or Comic-Con.
See, that's why the
so it's right
B2B guys are clueless on this. We don't even know when that thing happens. Yeah, why not?
The one that I came into not knowing anything about, Good Fortune, is that what it was called?
Yes, the Aziz Ansari picture from
I-
Lionsgate. Yeah.
I've never heard
That
of
was
it.
so
Yeah, me
funny.
neither. It's our job to hear about movies.
It
We
is,
had
isn't
no
it?
idea what it was.
That got me. That was
Yeah.
good.
All right, how about Chad on your end? The movie with the most buzz leaving the show, biggest revelation, and personally excited for.
I would agree Deadpool and Wolverine for most buzz. Biggest revelation, I think, maybe Smile 2 for me.
Okay.
The trailer was really
That got
interesting.
onto your radar?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the one I'm most excited for, it's got to be a Wicked or a tie between Wicked and Gladiator 2.
Okay, fair enough. Albert, on your end, on this trio.
Now I'm trying to think of fresh ones because.
Like what happened 2 days ago?
Right.
I mean, you just answer honestly.
Right. Okay. For me, I'll start with personally excited for. It's Good Fortune. I was just so happy to see Aziz back, and that looks like such a high quality film, and also the kind of film that maybe would have gone direct to streaming had it not been Aziz.
It definitely
rushed for it.
felt like,
Yeah, that seems like something that Netflix would have put somewhere in the depths of its service, and we would have never heard about. So it was really good to see that.
Yes.
All right, and what else was on?
I'm gonna do like a swerve then. In terms of biggest revelation, I'm gonna go for Nosferatu. I loved watching that trailer. I loved seeing the creepiness. Oh, we got some Eggers.
Okay. Both
Okay.
Rebecca and I are big fans. Yeah.
And then in terms of most buzz leaving the show, Deadpool and Wolverine definitely on all of our radars, but Universal put so much work into pushing Wicked that I think Wicked is
that's the one.
Yeah,
It can still go either way, but they're putting in the work to ensure it works out.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of writing on it too.
Yeah, I mean either Deadpool and Wolverine are good for the most, but I have been so locked in on staying upright and conscious that I barely know there is a world outside Caesar's Palace. So so I'm gonna. I mean, I hope that Universal got the buzz out of Wicked that they clearly invested in. Though it's for 2 movies. I'm curious.
They have to repeat it all over again.
Next year.
Yeah, they have to start it all over again 1 year later. So that's most buzz for you, biggest revelation, and personally excited for.
It honestly might be Mufasa just because I had zero interest in it before.
And Barry Jenkins
And now
sold it.
my interest is peaked, and that's a change. I'm And my most look forward to, Furiosa. Yeah.
We overlap here.
Yeah.
I agree with you on personally excited for. Furiosa was everything I wanted it to be. Biggest revelation, like you, I had zero interest on Mufasa, and Barry Jenkins walked on stage, spoke for 5 minutes. I was like, oh yeah, I want to, regardless if I like the movie or not, I want to support you in your career. I want you to keep on making big movies.
Did you figure out how to make lions emote? I don't know, but I'm curious.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And in terms of most buzz, it's not in our wheelhouse here, but I think the 90 minutes of Wolverine Deadpool are going to echo loudly online, but they were always going to echo loudly online. I didn't expect to see as much as we did from the Captain America title. I don't think any of us expected to see as much, and I think that's going to have a bigger impact for that specific on a title by title basis. Than Deadpool. You don't really have to sell Deadpool and Wolverine. Brave New World, the fact that they went and showed us what they did, I think went very far.
Serena, what do you think? Is Everyman like screens everything, at least cross categories, on the more art house, specialty label side of things? What stood out for you as a potential to really catch on, maybe on
Is that
less on the
overall
blockbuster side?
across the whole week?
Yeah.
I'm just not sure we saw that much on that side.
I mean, the bike riders, I think.
But again, so even with the Focus Features stuff, that was predominantly trailers that I think we've seen.
We've seen before, yeah.
But Bike Riders actually, probably that goes right to the top of the list of one that I'm so excited to see.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
think it's
wait.
going to do very well.
Let's go to the best exhibitor marketing concept. That is standees, one sheets here on the trade show floor. I'm going to say one of them, and then if you guys have a different opinion, let's unseat it. But it might be a unanimous winner here. The Twister's Wind Box. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's a wind box that you walk into this like chamber, and it just like blow dries your hair.
They put money in it?
No money.
No money. It's just a little wind box for Twisters. No, but it's one of those experiential activations. I really dug it. I don't think anyone was I think A Quiet Place Day One had a really good like New York City subway themed activation, a standee that I thought was good. But any other takers here?
Look,
There's a Terrifier 3 poster. Did you see it?
No.
Very graphic.
Yeah.
That was like tucked away.
Yeah.
That was a nice surprise.
I flat ironed my hair on Sunday and
You're
tried
not
to
going
keep
in,
that
yeah.
as long as I possibly can. I am not going in there.
So that's on the exhibitor marketing side. And now for our named awards, for those of you that have been in the industry for a while and have attended trade shows, you are going to know what we're talking about when we named the Fashion Icon Award at CinemaCon after our former colleague, David Passman, who definitely brought these sartorial elements into the industry.
People dressing in cargo shorts or on the exhibitor side, just boring suits and stars got to bring it.
So for the David Passman Fashion Icon Award at CinemaCon, who was the best dressed? Any takers? I have no opinion on this.
I have an idea. I just want to make sure that I get his last name correct, so I'm Googling this.
All right, we'll get back to Albert in a bit.
Jeff Goldblum layered houndstooth.
Oh,
Yes.
That's
For Wicked, Jeff Goldblum showed up in a layered hemp suit.
Houndstooths.
Houndstooth.
And so it's funny because my pick is also from the Wicked cast. It's Jonathan Bailey. He showed up looking like he was on.
He lost his mind.
That was good.
It was good. It looked like he was ready for Dancing with the Stars, but sequin, really
disco.
just
It was disco.
It was
Matching
all the way
shoes.
disco.
Sequin shirt that sparkled with matching sparkly shoes, like bright green, like emerald green for us.
I'm going to give it to Michael Keaton. Because he got stitched up? So the Tim Burton and every cast member comes out fully in black.
For Beetlejuice, all black.
All
Yes.
black. And he's the only one that came out just dressed not in black. And I was like, did they do this on purpose? He seemed shocked.
Yeah, white pants.
Yeah,
white
pants and a green jacket,
Yes.
so completely
Yes.
apart.
I think Lupita Nyong'o's always really classy. She was in solid yellow, and then we saw her later in solid white.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting like all the way in the back in the working press section, and it's like it pops.
Yeah.
No, I do have a pick for this. Anya Taylor-Joy, when she came out to introduce footage for Furiosa, she has the glamour of a movie star that is just immediately accessible. Like when you see the fashion choices she makes, you think movie star immediately. Yeah.
I mean, Anthony Ramos, when he came out for Twisters, I was just trying to figure out what was. I mean, he had the deepest V.
The deep V.
That's a deep V. That's a self-confidence award.
No shirt under it.
With no shirt.
Chenille tracksuit.
Yeah. I was like, you know what, Anthony? Go.
I appreciate a bold swing.
And now for the other named award we have here, named in honor of our colleague Rebecca Pauley. At the 2019 CinemaCon, we went to a meeting with our colleagues at the immersive seating provider D-Box They had a cheese plate that Rebecca Pauley finished on her own.
Good job.
Through like a 20-minute meeting. There was no cheese left by the time we left. You owe D-Box cheese, Rebecca. To this, that's like 6 years ago. You owe them cheese.
They were just gonna throw it away otherwise. Look, it's their fault for having good cheese.
So the Rebecca Pauley Cheese Plate
Waste not.
Trade Show Concessions Award. That means the best F&B product that you sampled at the trade show floor. Not everyone went there, but if you did, I'll start with mine. Tillamook, I did not know was a brand. They do ice cream.
Tillamook, they do anything dairy. They
had these like fried mac and cheese bites. They win. Hands down on my end.
I cannot believe I did not make it to the trade show. I missed out.
Yeah.
I did not know it would be
They had like
good.
ice cream coolers and stuff. And
Yeah, with like a ton of flavors. It wasn't just like one or two little samples. That's my pick too.
Also Tillamook. All right, guys. Rebecca, Albert, what you choose?
So there was a, and I don't remember the name of the vendor, but they basically could put anything in a roll form. So they had like a buffalo chicken. Like, and it looks like a hot dog. So like they were giving out pieces of that.
That was good.
It was delicious. But then like my runner-up would be the M&M space from
Mars,
Mars Wrigley, because they had this M&M's remix machine that would allow all the different types. You just put your cup on in there, and you're like, I want 1/3 peanut, 1/3 peanut butter, 1/3 almond, and then it all comes down bit by bit.
Self-serve. And that's, Albert, you bring that up, that's a really big trend in exhibition right now.
Yeah?
Self-serve concessions. A lot of exhibitors are testing it out.
Is that a thing in British movie, like the pick and mix?
When I was growing up, definitely, and I imagine it's still a thing. We don't.
They do upskill.
We serve to a seat.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. It's funny talking about serve to your seat. In France, they have a religious affinity for food, and they have a religious affinity for cinema. As our CEO shared earlier, we brought 46 French exhibitors to Los Angeles and then bussed them to Vegas. When we were in LA, we took them to a dine-in theater, and I think they were offended. They will not eat during a movie. They specifically requested during this movie theater visit to eat after the film. They wanted to see the film, and they were willing to eat, but only after the credits roll. I say that lovingly. It's very interesting.
Popcorn during a movie is disrespectful in France.
Yeah, well, to an extent, we're not popcorn exactly. It's very, very popular. But a whole dine-in experience.
There was an interview with Isabelle Huppert where she was asked about it, and she was like,
No.
Only silence and sound.
Popcorn does well, but a full dine-in, kind of like you guys have with Everyman, don't expand the crowns. Just a tip there to your executive team. So that was those were the concessions award. Tillamook just running away from this. They don't even advertise. We got to let our ad salesperson know about that. You got a different one. Okay.
Shout out to Tillamook because I did love them. Shout out as always to our friends at Rico's because their nachos are amazing. But J&J Snack Foods, you know I love me an icy.
Yes.
Do you guys see, I think like last year or something, they introduced like a new type of Pepsi, a Pepsi can that's Pepsi Nitro, that's instead of like the carbonation being from CO2, it's from nitro, and it does something weird chemically. It's science.
Yeah.
But J&J had a version of the icy that was icy nitro, and I was like, is this just icy with Red Bull or like caffeine stuff? But no, it was using nitro, guys. And the one problem with icy is, you get down to the bottom of it and it's just ice, and you've sucked all the stuff up. Yeah. Something you put nitrogen in the icy. It's creamier, has a better mouthfeel. The flavor profile is more consistent, and it doesn't melt.
That's a good shout. Come on. I'm going to have to try that out.
I take my concession seriously.
Yeah, no, you are that's your new title, concession senator. We're giving promotions here. And talking about promotions, we've got the CinemaCon MVP award. It's basically like who won CinemaCon. It can be a person, it can be an inanimate object, it can be a studio. What was the best aspect of your week this week? Let's start with Albert on your end.
Yeah, family. For me, family was what won this week because I saw it show up on stage, right? M. Night Shyamalan brought his two daughters right up on stage, also to share within their pursuits. But then also when I would sit down and meet people during lunch sessions and just, while standing in line for stuff, I realized that so many cinemas are owned by family. Like they're so family owned, so family based, and whether that's the movie theaters themselves or other companies, other vendors, there's a lot of family that goes through there. And then also there were tons of options for family films this year as well.
The Marquee Award winner Chris Johnson introduced by his son.
By his son, that's a really nice moment. I really like that.
Truly there. So even though there was no Vin Diesel, his spirit was still with us.
Oh, if you were here last year, you would not want Vin Diesel to return. That was a very long
We
off
would
script.
still be.
You'd still be speaking. We would not be recording right now. We're running long in this recording too. Rebecca, on your end, who was the CinemaCon MVP?
I'm gonna do a blatant plug. I'm a member of the nonprofit group Women in Exhibition. It's just dedicated to just networking and supporting, women in this space, and men are allowed to. And it's not cinema, it's tech, it's vendor, it's anyone in the community. And we hosted an event with Young Variety on Tuesday.
Yes.
And our colleague, it was a good event. It's really great to see, women in this industry supporting each other, especially given it is traditionally, at least in North America, a very male-dominated. Like CinemaCon is, how many times are you in elevators, going back up or coming down, and you're the only woman in that elevator?
I mean, it's probably the only event where there's not a queue for the women's toilet, which was great.
Yeah. But no, it's great, and I went out with our VP of Sales, Patricia afterwards, and had In-N-Out, and In-N-Out's excellent. So
It's great to have
an
those.
exhibition and cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers and good trade groups. Serena, for you?
I was trying to think about this. From all of my, when I've been reading and obviously listening about the conference before, it seems very much star-driven, whereas this one felt very much like filmmaker, director-driven.
That's
I don't know, is that different from
It depends on the year, but I
Yeah.
think maybe this year was a lot more filmmaker-driven.
And the
than star-driven.
filmmaker talent right now is just, it feels like it's through the roof. So I feel like they've won. And shout out to my favourite Tim Burton. Because seeing him in the flesh is just,
And
that was a
practical
big
effects
one.
is something that was brought up at Beetlejuice and Wicked, of building things. And
True.
Yeah.
Chad, what were you?
Yeah, I think I just want to piggyback on some of these. Seeing filmmakers be really passionate about what they do is always what excites me. So, yeah, that's what I love.
And we need to see more. We see that here. We need audience members to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a fantastic year here at CinemaCon 2024, and that wraps up our coverage of our daily series of episodes. We'll be back next year with equally as long episodes where we talk about every single thing and highlight from CinemaCon. A big thank you to my colleagues Rebecca and Chad, and our guests here for this episode. We had Albert Lawrence from Amazon Live and Serena Gill from Everyman Cinemas.
Briefly, Julian.
And Julian Marcel, our boss. I can't forget that one. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you're well. And Sperling earlier.
Earlier in the week, nice guest speakers. And coming up is one of the best panel sessions from this year's CinemaCon.
From any CinemaCon I've been to.
Yeah, a very, very great session moderated by NATO's Michael O'Leary, featuring insights from Rebecca Stein from Showcase Cinemas. We've also got Brock Bagby from B&B Theatres, Elissa Federoff from Neon, and Lisa Bunnell from Focus Features on mid-budget films. That is coming up after the break. If you listen to this entire episode, email me, and I don't know, I'll send you a nice little present, because it might be our longest one yet.
Yeah, we have the little squishy popcorn things with the box office company logo.
Oh, you committed me in packing them. I'll do it, seriously. I appreciate all the support, and a huge thank you to our sponsor, Topos, for this week. Let's cap this off with that panel session. Thank you for support. We'll talk to you again next week.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael O'Leary. I'm the CEO of NATO, and welcome to a panel this afternoon on the importance of mid-budget films. We have a spectacular panel here, so I'm going to ask them to come up and take their places, and we'll get started. First of all, we have Brock Bagby, who is now the President and Chief Content Programming and Development Officer at B&B Theatres. Lisa Bunnell, the President of Distribution for Focus Features. Elissa Federoff, President of Distribution at Neon, and Rebecca Stein, VP of Marketing and Partnerships for National Amusements. This is really a panel about something that I feel very strongly about, and that is, the continued development and creation of small and mid-budget movies. We simply cannot survive solely blockbusters alone. We need to have different types of films that people can come and see, not just from an economic standpoint, but because there's an audience out there for those movies, and they're important movies. And so it's really, I think, incumbent upon those of us in exhibition to work with the folks in distribution to make sure that these movies remain viable and that there's a constant stream of them flowing into your theaters. So some things we can agree on up front. So the first one is small and medium movies are important from both an economic and cultural perspective. There's an audience for these movies. The way these movies connect with audience is unique. It's not formulaic. The industry doesn't just need more of these movies. They're vital to our success. And finally, distribution and exhibition must work collaboratively to ensure more of these movies reach theaters. But the question for the panel, I'll start with you, Lisa. In your view, what is the current state of the industry regarding small and medium-sized movies?
This spot, this sort of sweet spot, is probably the hardest kind of film to make, because it's not just, when you're looking at a film and you're developing a film, it's not just us going, we're gonna make a $5 million film. It's getting the talent to agree, which, as you know, is not always the easiest thing to get talent to sometimes agree to a lesser salary than they might want, and getting those productions together in a way that makes it theatrical is not the easiest thing to do in the world. I do think it's getting better. I think movies like American Fiction, which I'm a huge fan of, The Holdovers, obviously, and we're seeing it right now with Immaculate, with Neon, and these types of films, which, you know, you don't look at them and go, oh my God, they're gonna open up to $20 million or $30 million. They exist, and they're important. And I think that we need to make more of them. And, you know, for us at Focus, we actually, when we do our slate and we do our budget, we actually look at doing these types of movies and taking chances on movies like director A.V. Rockwell, who did 1001, which was also a very important movie to make for a lot of reasons. But, you know, you make those decisions, you know that you're not necessarily gonna make a ton of money on them, but it's important to get those audiences back. It's important to give selection just like anything else. And I think we're all moving in the right direction with that, but we're gonna need help, obviously, from exhibition to make these movies work. And I know we're going to talk about that more, so I won't go on and on, Mike.
Okay. Rebecca, what do you think is the state of the industry in regard to these movies?
I think that these movies are some of the best movies. We all know this. The content is really strong. And I believe that we just need to, I mean, the question I was sort of waiting for from you was along the lines, in full disclosure, but along the lines of, are young people going to connect with this content, and how do we approach that? And I think that's not the question at hand. I think the question is, young people do connect with this content. It's where they're getting it and how they're getting it and how we're getting them to the movie theaters. We have seen that if the story is strong, it connects and they will come. And I can elaborate on that as we go on.
Okay, terrific. Elissa, do you want to comment on kind of the state of these movies from your perspective?
Sure. I mean, I agree with everything that Elissa has said about putting these sort of mid-budget movies into the marketplace. It's not easy. A lot of stars have to align in order to make this possible. But what we are seeing now is that what has happened is the quantity of content is not what audiences want. They want quality of content. And because that has become a reality, and because we have seen these movies actually connect with audiences and make money financially for the studios, we are going to see more of it happening. And what we need is an intentionality. We need everybody to focus on this particular motivation. So we need the talent to come together to work for less, and not just, unfortunately, there was a streaming bubble that sort of put everybody in this position where, talent was taking a bigger paycheck, and there was a sort of shorter life for a film, and that's gone away. So there is an intentionality that we need, that we've seen on the bigger budget side. We saw it with Oppenheimer this year. We saw it with Barbie this year. These films that Everybody came together. They knew they wanted to make it. Exhibition was behind it. Distribution was behind it. These are movies that were a massive gamble, but everybody gambled on them and they delivered. And we can do that with smaller budget films as long as we get everybody behind it in the same way. Immaculate is a great example of that. This is a movie that was made for under $10 million with Sydney Sweeney, who is a rising star. She is a producer on it. She's loved this script for a really long time. She bet on herself and was a huge promotional aspect of the film, and it worked in the marketplace. We need to see more of that. We need to see more of these young stars sort of going out there and putting traction behind these films, TV stars that we can turn into cinema stars. So that's something that I would like to see more of, and I do really think that we will start to see it because I think we've all seen that it's working.
Sure. So Brock, you sit at the top of, I believe, the 5th largest circuit now. What does the landscape look like to you? What is the market for these movies? Who's the audience? And what do you need to have to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think they all said great things. We're seeing, I think, the resurgence slowly happening. And, you know, I think at Christmas we had a lot of great things drop in kind of fairly last minute with Iron Claw and Boys in the Boat and Anyone But You. That all really took off. And we were very pleased with the results of those. And in many circumstances, we had constant sellouts that whole Christmas season, which was really exciting. And the success of that will build and allow more of these to come. But I think Rebecca maybe said it needs to be good stories, right? It's not quantity, it's quality. And a good story gets people talking. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about the marketing later, but it has to open at least decently strong so there is word of mouth to happen, which I do want to touch on a little bit later.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What does success look like from your perspective, Lisa, when you put one of these movies into the marketplace?
I think that it depends on the movie, right? I mean, you know, we opened up Asteroid City and did $134,000 per theater. So that was like, that's obvious, right? You look at it and you go, yeah, that's the best per theater average of the year. That's great, you know? So, and it's Wes Anderson, so that makes sense. And then you look at The Holdovers, and it was a much smaller 40,000 plus per theater average. And a lot of theater owners will look at it and go, that's not that good. So, but it actually is good for a movie like that. It's Paul Giamatti starred in the movie. It was fantastic. It needed the word of mouth. Sometimes you need patience with these movies, and you need to work with us on it because it takes time for movies. If you put Poor Things in 3,000 theaters to start, it would have died. If you put Everything Everywhere All at Once into 3,000 theaters, it would have died. Nobody would have understood what it was about. It would have been like, what the hell is this? You need time, you need patience, and you need critical response to sometimes drive to your theaters. People who don't even realize that they want to see this movie, they got to understand that there's a reason to go see it. So I do think that we need to really be patient with these movies and understand that for every film, you know, there's a different threshold for what success is. And sometimes movies like, if you had said to me that a movie like Holdovers would do over $20 million with the per theater average, if you were just using data, you'd probably say that would never happen. In fact, if you use data to greenlight some of the movies that we greenlit, you never would have greenlit the movies. So it's like, it's important, data is great, but when you rely on it too much, then you would lose out on movies like BlacKkKlansman or Promising Young Woman, or I can tell you, I'm in the rooms. There's no data to support making Tar, let me tell you. But we did, and I'm proud of it. It's one of the movies I'm most proud of. It's one of Cate Blanchett's probably best performance. It's a miracle the movie was made, a miracle. And so I think we need more of those miracles, and we need more support on those miracles.
Yeah, Elissa, what does it look like?
You can clap if you want.
Yeah, well, I think just to piggyback off of that, I think a really good point is it's excellent stories, but it's also this intangible that is called cultural relevancy, that there is no data to support that. You don't know what the zeitgeist is going to pick up. You don't know what is going to drive this word of mouth. And these are the movies that really, really take off. Movies like The Holdovers, movies like Everything Everywhere All at Once, movies like Anatomy of a Fall from Neon. These are the films that, you know, for us are massive successes. And they end up in the same sandboxes as these studio films, and we have to sort of scale them differently because we are, you know, our version of success looks different. We're making movies for smaller amounts of money. Our campaign budgets are smaller, and for us, they're massive successes. And on Monday morning, when you know, sort of there's industry talk around it, it might be a perceived failure, and it shouldn't be. The metrics aren't the same for a specialty company that they are for a studio, and I hate to see this Monday morning quarterbacking happen, because I think that we all really need to lift each other up right now.
Yeah, that is one thing that we've struggled with. I find it, everything is decided the first weekend, and the racehorse kind of feel to it is we have to do something to try and change that narrative, try to find some voices out there that will carry the message away in a more productive way. Rebecca, coming back to something you mentioned earlier in identifying audiences and letting word of mouth build, let's talk about young people and how do we connect with them?
So we have actually seen, which might sound amazing, but we have seen growth in our loyalty program with a younger age. And at first I thought, maybe this isn't something that I reveal in this room, because for so many years we were taught in certain ways to keep our secrets close. But I really think that now is there's most need for collaboration, not only among us and our studio partners, but as an industry as a whole. And I think when one of us rises, let's look at what we're doing and do it together. The same way if a customer has a bad experience in our competitor's movie theater, it hurts us all. So going back to loyalty and how the age is changing for us, and it's actually getting younger. And we've done that with the collaboration of our studio partners, two very strong studio partners that I get to sit with on this stage, who have understood that if we are truly rewarding loyalty and bringing value offers to loyalty, that the younger audience cares about those value adds. We have changed our loyalty program to go from points and specific rewards to cash back. And it's made a huge difference. And studios are seeing the difference on not only that cash back, but helping us bring extra cash back, extra rewards for specific movies. And we're not just doing that for older audiences, we're doing it on horror pictures and smaller pictures. And it's truly moving the needle. So that's just one way. Certainly with younger audiences, we need to meet them where they're at. It involves Instagram and TikTok and influencers. That's its own panel.
When you say younger audiences, to me, every audience is a younger audience. What specifically what is the specific demographic that you're talking about?
I'm talking about the 18 to 34. Yeah. And getting them back. Now, we see them come back. Again, you said we see them come back for good content. But we have gotten in the pattern of offering them something for every movie that they're coming to, and differentiating. If you're coming to us, you're going to get more back that drives them back to the next visit to the theater. So anyway.
And you mentioned influencers. I think that's one of those terms that is completely misunderstood. How do you think that plays into what you're talking about? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, so we, as a company, have, over the past 5 years, really changed our marketing spend. It's higher than it's ever been before. And at this point, a big portion of our marketing spend is spent on curating the right influencers for each movie in different categories, whether it's moms or whether it's horror fans or whatever the case may be. We have built lists and relationships with influencers. And I'm talking smaller micro-influencers and some larger influencers. But the fact is that everyone is following someone. And these influencers are the voice and the truth and, the word. So we're putting money into influencers.
Brock, can you
Do
share
it.
some of the ways that B&B reaches audiences and how you go about it? I know you have quite an operation there.
Yeah, I mean, I am not the marketing guru. My sister is, but I can speak a little bit to it. You know, we've seen tremendous success with our TikTok program. We have more followers than any theater circuit on TikTok, and a lot of it's just
Can you repeat that? Slow down and repeat that.
more followers
people to know.
than any theater circuit on TikTok, which we're really proud of. It's same thing. It's we try to create content that is real and people can relate to. I am not the person that is on TikTok, but if I was, I would not be in a suit and tie. I would be dressed casual like a moviegoer, right? And so how can you relate to those people? That's something we really focus on. The influencers we're doing a lot of, and same thing. People trust these influencers. They've grown to like these people. They trust them. They follow them. So we're doing a lot of that. Of course, our loyalty is a huge part of our business. We've constantly, that's like our number one goal, get more loyalty sign up so that we have that data, and the same thing, to send these unique special offers to them. But yeah, so much of our stuff has trended towards social, TikTok, influencers, and not traditional media, and we're seeing great success. And if you have a Kansas City mom blog that says, oh my gosh, Kung Fu Panda 4 is incredible, it's great for all families, they're gonna trust that mom versus me in a suit and tie going, welcome to B&B, come see Kung Fu Panda. They're gonna go, who's this Yahoo? We trust mommy blogger number one, and we're having great success with that.
You're going to crash Kansas City mom blog by saying it. Lisa, how big is what they're talking about? How do you factor that into when you're marketing a movie and when you're developing plans to try and get something that'll stick?
It's a very large part of what we do when we're planning for films. But one of the things that we talk about at Focus is an elderverse, because there are older people who want to go to the movies. So, there are a lot of folks who are older who just my mother wouldn't know what TikTok was if she's never going to look at that. That's not, it's interesting because like movies like Holdovers, we actually went backwards to go forwards. So we did a little bit of print, and we did a little bit, and we tried to appeal to the older audience, and we kind of got them in, and then like the grandmas brought in their kids, and the kids liked the movie, and then the kids told the other kids that the Holdovers was okay to see. It wasn't like a dorky movie. So, I do think that TikTok and influencers, obviously, which, it drives me crazy how much these people charge to be. I mean, I'd like to be an influencer. Could I influence anybody? Very happy to do an influence about wearing black.
Show us how many followers you have, and we'll sign you up.
Thank you. I'd be happy to do it. No, it's a thing. I mean, we did it. We saw it with movies like Asteroid City, where that movie took on a whole different level because young people were discovering Wes Anderson and being Wes Anderson. It was a big deal, and it did bring that movie to another level, and it brought in a lot of young people to understand who Wes Anderson is and go back and see his library, which in the scheme of things, that's what you really want. You want young people to be influenced and inspired to go watch these masters movies. And so, I like to look at those, the TikToks of the world and the influence of the world as ways and conduits to sort of educate younger people about movies and going to the movies, because that's the future at this point. So it's important.
So I'm going to hope that I'm somewhere between the younger demographic and the elderverse. That's my hope for today. Elissa, can you talk a little bit about how Neon reaches audiences?
Sure. We use sort of all of the things that you've talked about here. You have to. There's really no way around it at this point. But something else that we're seeing that I think is really interesting is that what is old is new for these younger audiences. These retrospective films, we brought back Old Boy this summer. Park Chan-wook, made, I think at this point, 21 years ago. And this movie, we programmed it, we did a week-long run, we met audiences where they wanted to be, we met exhibitors where they wanted to be. Nobody was totally sure how it was gonna go over, so we said play it 2 times a day. You don't have to put it on a full slate of showtimes, and it really worked. And we saw a massive younger audience come in because this movie had never been in. I mean, it had a small run 20 years ago. People had never seen it in theaters. They had seen it on Blu-ray. They had seen it pirated, and all they wanted to do was see it on the big screen. And it was a great success for us. I mean, you saw A24 do it with Talking Heads, with Stop Making Sense. That was a great success story. So, all of this together is also sort of retraining a younger audience or training a younger audience to come back for cinema, which is really special. And I think another thing that, that happens is that we have a little bit of a price resistance for young people and for older people. And this is something that I would like to think about a little bit more as well. We just did a promo on Immaculate. We did 666 Wednesdays. So every ticket was $6.66. And we saw, we didn't see the revenue go up, but we saw the revenue stay the same, which meant that twice the number of people were coming to the theater. Mm-hmm. And that was a really great example of a marketing hook that we got exhibitors involved in. They got really excited about it. More excited, actually, than I thought they were going to get about it, because it was a little bit blasphemous. But so is the whole movie. I
think blasphemy is okay. I think it's fine.
All right.
It was a great idea, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, doing those types of things, if it's okay.
Yeah, please go on.
One of the things that I think that we could all do, like meeting us together, is do, I think Wednesday's a great day to do specialty films. We all have our Bargain Tuesdays, right? We do Bargain Tuesdays. Everybody knows it's Bargain Tuesdays. And this is something I used to talk about at Landmark, and I wasn't able to really get it done. But it's suppose we do this as anybody who wants to participate in it, and we do some type of a special program where we take Neon's films, Focus's films, A24's films, Sony Classics films, and we make Wednesday a special day. That's the day that we're going to spotlight specialty film, an adult film. And, we put it at the top of the webpage. We make it a thing. And, it's just a way to sort of start getting those people back into theaters again. It's just, those are the types of ideas that we need to have that are kind of out of the box. You guys did it, obviously, with the 666. We don't have to charge 666. But I think it's a good idea to think about those types of things that we can do together, because we have to collaborate in order to make these movies work.
So Lisa, earlier you mentioned the challenge of putting one of these movies in a lot of theaters at once. They won't sustain themselves. One of the challenges that we frequently face, particularly among some of our smaller members, is film availability and getting access to some of these films. Can you elaborate a little bit on what you were talking about, and how those two problems seem at odds with each other, and how do we do more to get some films into the theaters, particularly the smaller independents that are kind of not in that first run?
Yeah, I think what happens is I'll use The Holdovers as an example, because it's a movie that's recent. We put Holdovers, the second weekend of Holdovers, everybody wants to come in. And if you don't take them, everybody gets insulted because we're not taking you. But the problem is that movie needed time, and it needed some space to sort of become something in the cultural, like you just said, right? You have to have people want to see it and know about it. And unfortunately, it takes time for that to happen. And what happens is when we go wider with these films, unfortunately, and sometimes they don't always gross, but we're not Iron Man, and we're not Star Wars, and we're not Lord of the Rings. Our $5,000 gross, which is in the middle of the theater, and we go in the second week, by the third week, it's we'll take you off for the National Theater on Saturday. Nobody will care. Oh, we'll take you off for the UFC on Saturday night. You don't need the Saturday night show. And then we come to Monday, and it's now you're at the bottom of the theater, so you're done. Goodbye. So, if you don't nurture and take care of these movies, then we can never go wider with them, because we're not able to do it. Because I can't just go, okay, well now, you guys want to come off, now we're going to go all the way up to 2,000 runs, and then we'll go up to 3. That doesn't work that way. So it's these movies are different. They need time. And eventually, I swear to God, we'll get to you, whether it was The Darkest Hour, or it was Black Klansman, or whatever it might be, we will get to those theaters. But please be patient with us, because we go slow so that we don't lose runs, so that we can build the movie. I don't have the money to be able to put out some of the huge campaigns. I don't think you do either, Elissa. We don't have that money to put into TV, into putting into we need time. So I think that's really what I would ask for. It's please take the time. Please look at these movies a little bit differently. We need help. Whether it's me or you, or it's American Fiction, or whatever it might be, or Poor Things for that matter. People are so quick to just take them and slash them for the third screen of whatever Marvel movie there is, or the fourth screen of Star Wars, or whatever it is. we need time, we need help, and we need to be taken care of, and then we will take care of you, but you got to be patient with us.
So Brock and I were both looking at each other. I don't know what he's going to
The
say.
exhibitor response.
Yeah, so the exhibitor responded. That's exactly, we're like, clearly we're probably thinking alike, but so using this panel to really start a bigger discussion. You're talking about collaboration for a Wednesday program, and what I would like to say in helping us is that if we, and I say this to you guys, I say this to the bigger studios as well, is that from a marketing perspective, and for us to give it the understanding and the time and the so on, we need to see this stuff sooner. We may not get it earlier, but we need to see it sooner. I know when I see something at CinemaCon, it gets me excited, and it sticks with me. And when I am able to screen something, not just a week and a half before at a trade screening, my brain starts going. And if I had not to, but The Holdovers was definitely one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think if I had seen it and it stuck in my heart earlier, and I'm not placing any blame, this is the whole system, then we would understand what needs to be done, and together we could do more to,
We don't have a problem screening.
Yeah, no.
We don't have a problem screening our movies early. The Holdovers was in the Toronto Film Festival. It was in Telluride. It screened in August. It screened in September. I mean, there's some stipulations where, if somebody's going to screen it for the New York Film Festival, they'll ask us not to screen it early so that people don't see it. But if anybody wants to see one of our movies and we have it available, please ask me. I'll be happy to screen it for you for marketing purposes. It's not a problem at all.
Great. I agree with everything you just said. I think knowing the rollout plan and knowing, okay, we're doing this way and for what reason is super helpful from a film buying perspective. But also knowing the PVOD date is helpful, because if you're in the final week and then next week it's on PVOD and I got to do a 2 or 3 week commitment, that's hard for me. And what we saw, I think, with Anyone But You, the success, they didn't go to PVOD forever. And look, a movie opened to 9 million, did 90 million all in. That's a 10-time multiple. That's unheard of. And I think they saw it, they nurtured it, they waited, and they didn't put it on PVOD for a while. So if a movie like that you think needs time to grow, give it the time. Yep.
I'm always, I know we don't go wide. If we go wide with a movie, that's when the time starts as far as PVOD goes. It's not off of any platform release. It's always off of the widest point of the release. But I always say, give me a reason to go back to anybody at Universal and tell them we need more time for PVOD. Give me a reason. I am happy to have that discussion. It's not a closed door. Donna Langley, Cujo, everybody who we work with, happy to listen to it.
Great. Thank you.
While we're on a roll of asking for things, I have been talking about this for a long time, and we see how Tom Cruise is a role model, and he works hard for his movies. And then we saw it happen with Anyone But You, and they worked hard for that movie. And I think that we need to be asking of the talent to work hard for these movies, and let people know, first of all, that they want them to see it in the movie theater. We need to be thanking customers, whether it's before the show or after the show, something that feels like custom tailored content for people who are sitting in the movie theater, who chose to come to the movie theater. But I think we need to, they need to work for these movies too. Obviously, I'm telling you to, whatever, but I think it's something that as a general rule, or how we talk about the marketing, it's such a big piece as well, because talk about an influencer, those are the jumbo influencers really at the end of the day, so.
You want to say something?
No, I was just going to say that I agree with you 100%. The issue with getting talent, and Elissa, you can speak to this too, is that they're not always the most cooperative in the entire world to be able to get to do it. So, you know,
we need to teach them.
yeah. Well, it is
Part
true.
of retraining our audiences, retraining the talent, and every single, you know, we found ourselves working, I think everybody probably has found themselves over the past few years working harder than they've ever worked before. And so many of these campaigns that we have built, we have so many more asks for our talent than ever before. And some play ball and some don't. I mean, and that's why they really, you know, we need to have them, you know, feel the responsibility for it. You know, the same way that we're all taking this on together and see the long-term benefits of it. It's really huge. I mean, and that's one of the massive things we saw with Immaculate. Sydney Sweeney was a producer on it. It was amazing. She was an incredible participant in that production for us, in that campaign for us. We have a comedy coming out in May called Babes, which we're screening on Wednesday. Alana Glazer, who's the writer and the star of the film, who's in a show called Broad City. I don't know how many people know it, but it's yeah, it's a massive hit for you know, a younger demo, and these women who are part of this film, Michelle Buteau and Pamela Adlon, they want it so badly. They want to work for it, and we know that there will be success around it because of that. And we want to give you special content. We want to give all the circuit special content. So we build it into everything, and we've started to do that a lot more.
Yeah, I think we have more press days now than we ever had before.
Yeah.
We really do that, and we take it into
production
account.
days,
Yeah, we take it into account. You guys need something. We do try very hard with them. You know, you can't force these guys to do it, but there are a lot of people who are very motivated to do it, and then there's other people who just quite honestly say to us, love the film, not doing anything. Bye. Yeah. So it's just the way it is. I mean, we try very hard, and we will continue because it makes a big difference. I agree.
So in the last year, the two things I've been asked about the most are Barbenheimer and Sound of Freedom. And so I'm curious now, having had some time pass, what lessons, if any, did we learn as an industry from Sound of Freedom? What are kind of the takeaways from each of your perspectives? Do you want to go first, Brock?
Sure. Movie was wildly successful for us. You know, we're a Midwest-based circuit. We overperformed by 106% or some crazy number. The biggest question I got from the press was, are your auditoriums empty and saying they're sold out? And they weren't. We were completely full. It was insane, sellouts across the board. In fact, we even had to put some in the PLF just to get enough seats. And we when that rumor started, we had managers actually go count. And we were full. There was no fake tickets. But there's a huge demand for something different, and you know, even remotely faith-based, I think, you know, really worked for us. Huge surprise hit for us. We saw it coming with pre-sales, but never knew it would take off like it did, and it just continued and continued. And then we had Barbenheimer, so July was absolutely incredible. But yes, we love diverse movies. We love faith-based, especially Midwest-based company. It was incredible. And we all know that mid-budget movies, when they break out, they're success for everyone, which is really, really awesome. So.
Elissa, any takeaways for you?
You know, I think it's important that we don't take anybody for granted as far as the content goes. And I think that, you know, once again, and we talk about people making cultural differences, and I think that, you know, it became a movie in the zeitgeist. It became, and it wasn't like a new topic. It was like, if you watch any Law and Order SVU episode, you will see what went on in that movie. But the way that it was put out to people, the way that it was received, it made a big difference, and that's great, and I think it's good. I think any time that you can get people to go in to see movies that you wouldn't normally expect to go to the movies, I think that's fantastic. It gave you an opportunity to have your theaters full, and people got to see how great your theaters are. And they probably came back and saw Barbenheimer, right? So I mean, like, that's great. I mean, I think it's fantastic.
You needed to laugh after Sound of Freedom because they were so depressed after.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's like, yeah,
so they needed to escape again for fun. But the Pay It Forward campaign, I think, was so big on that as well. That at the end, they, you know, please scan this QR code, send it to friends. That was huge, and I think that helped it propel to that next level because people were so moved in the moment, they got out their phone and bought tickets for a friend, which was an innovative idea, and it worked.
Yeah, That's what we need to do. We need to find different ways to get people to come to the movies, and we need to see how we can inspire them to come to movies. And I think that's great.
Elissa?
Yeah, I was going to mention that the direct address, which is not necessarily new in film, was it was just slightly turned a little bit, and that turn just made all of the difference in it. And it was the Pay It Forward campaign. I mean, it was a thriller. It was a genre that people like to see. So there was nothing, totally unusual about it. It was just sort of all of these things that came into place together. You have a movie that's entertaining in the summertime, faith-based for an audience that wants that kind of film, and then you have this direct address that sort of pulled it all together. And then Barbenheimer, I mean, forget
it. Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to add. We did have fake tickets. I mean, we're Northeast regional, we had less full seats in the beginning, although when the movie got so much attention and curiosity, that helped build it. So that had the room to continue to build. So there's that. But I was going to address that kind of pay it forward concept. I mean, and you talk about what we can take away from these movies and what we can take away from Barbenheimer and so on. I mean, that is something that if you know that you have a movie where the story is good and you want to tell a friend, that's something we can take away.
And I think all three of those movies had the intentionality that I was talking about. This sort of long vision of what they wanted from the film, from the campaign, from the exhibition community, from the audience, and everybody went all in on it. And Sound of Freedom, they went all in on it, that direct address, that plea to the audience, that really impassioned, him sitting there, right? They obviously created that to put on the end credits. And so it was just this sort of way of thinking ahead that we need to be doing more of.
Right, and it's fair to say that the innovative thinking like that's coming with these size movies.
No, I think it's coming from all size movies, but I think that what we're seeing is that these mid-sized movies they're less expensive to make. They can yield a lot greater in the back end, and that's why they're a valuable commodity.
So we've talked a lot about collaboration. It's kind of a theme throughout the week and a bunch of different things we're doing here. I'm curious from each of you, and we'll start at that end and work back here. What is the one thing that your friends in distribution could do to make these movies more successful for you? And for our friends in distribution, what is the one thing that exhibition could do to be most helpful to you? Brock, do you want to start?
That was not on the approved questions list.
I'm off the list.
He's definitely gone rogue, so anyway.
No, this is good. No, better terms. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I actually loved Rebecca's comment because I think, especially for the marketing side of the business, the earlier we can, especially if it's something you're passionate about, you think this could break out as a studio, show it to us early so we can start brainstorming together and let us come to you with ideas, which many studios are letting us do, and collaborate and work together on a budget that makes sense to target our specific audience. We know our customers better than you do. You know your movie better than we do. Let's see it early. Let's work together, especially on the creative front. I think that's super helpful. So I think that's my quick answer.
Okay. Lisa?
I think my quick answer would be for us, a better presence on your website, a better presence for us to be able to. We don't, and I know, believe me, I understand. It's like trailers, everything that you do. Over the years, I'm an old film buyer, so once a film buyer, always a film buyer. But we don't have the money to get the placement that many others do. We don't have the money to get the placement on your websites. We don't have the money to get your placement in the theaters. We might not be the first standee you put up in your lobby. We need help there. And we aren't able to do what the big studios can do, including my parent company. I'm not Universal. I'm Focus. We have Focus budgets. Our budgets are very similar to your budgets, so we need help. So that's what I would say. And we really do try as much as we can. And I hear you. You want to see our movies earlier. I get it. You want our talent to participate more. Totally get it. You want personal PSAs, those types of things. you want some time with our folks, we'll try to do that. So we are more than willing to do that, but on the other end, we need more coverage, we need more help, we need more social media, we need help from you, and we might not be able to pay what the studios can pay for their big money movies.
I'll totally second that. Trailer placement, poster placement, web banner placement, whatever it is, we definitely want to be represented in your ecosystems, because that's what's going to get us ahead, and that's what's going to get audiences to learn about Neon, to grow with Focus. And then on our side, we are happy to show you the movies early. And there are a lot of movies that we can do where we should program them for your loyalty audience, and we can take 1 or 2 showtimes and pack those and really, really build an audience for one particular showtime, just to get your audience familiarized with our types of films, and then they'll want it, and they'll come back for more. And it's less risky for you than to give us a whole screen and say, like, let's hope for the best here. So that's something that I think that we should consider more going forward.
Yeah, because we all have loyalty programs, and maybe we don't do Mystery Mondays, maybe we do art films on Mystery Mondays, and maybe it's not such a mystery. I don't know.
Rebecca, you get the last word.
Yeah, well, there's not much that hasn't been said. I think that the partnership between us and the studios is the most important and has never been more important. Like you said, we know our customers. We now have technology that is so powerful to, not only targeting them, but targeting them with what they want in their specific lane with things like Movio. And think of us as the top line in your marketing for that reason. Sometimes theaters are lower down, but we can really drive and move the needle. So I think of us as a top line marketing item is really important. And I know for our team, we're talking to your teams all the time. You have to know your studio people, build the relationships, because from that, good things come.
Absolutely. I think collaboration is kind of one of the themes of the week. It probably doesn't have nearly as much impact other places as it does with these types of movies. So I think that's something we can build on. And with that, I think we should end on that note. Will you join me in thanking the panel for a terrific job? And I have been asked to tell you that if you'd like to join the Barco reception, it's right outside the door, so you can't miss it. So everyone, have a good evening.
And a huge thank you to our sponsor, Jack Rowe and Tapos, for their support this week here at CinemaCon. You just heard a panel session on mid-budget films, moderated by NATO's Michael O'Leary. 2 colleagues on the exhibition side, Brock Bagby from B&B Theatres, Rebecca Stein from Showcase Cinemas. And on the distribution side, we had Elissa Federoff from Neon and Elissa Bunnell from Focus. We will be back next week in a slightly less exhausted and significantly shorter episode. Thank you for your support. We'll be talking Ben. I'm already mumbling. I messed this up. That's what the Easter egg is. If you listen to the end.
If you've gotten all this way.
Note the error. Note the error will send you swag. Daniel at boxoffice.com. I'm not kidding. It's done. Go home. Yes, we're done here. We're gonna go drink heavily. Good night.